where everything, just everything. That's it. End of sentence. You know those days where just everything. It's that today. I don't have an explanation. I did nothing wrong. I deserve no karmic vengeance from the universe today. But for whatever reason, all of science and technology and people have decided to infuriate me today. Let me tell you how it started.
Wait, you said M people. I'm the only person that you've had an interaction with.
Nope. No, you're not.
Okay.
I wish you were. Honestly, I wish you were. Because then I can just be like, well, Lonzo's just a troll, even to people he loves, so I can deal with it.
Oh, those are the people you troll the most.
Let me tell you the multiple interactions I have already had today that have just got me like on the verge of white hot rage, which is it's not where I want to be. I promise you, I have no interest in my Tuesday because it is only Tuesday. I have no interest in being this mad this early. Nobody wants their day, especially a day. If it was Friday, I'd be like, yeah, all right, I'm ticked off, but like whatever. You know, in a handful of hours, I'm off for the weekend, which for me means, of course, another day of work and then one day off.
By the way, really quick, that cement thing at the end of a parking spot is either called a wheel stop, a parking block, or a curb stop.
Good enough for me. We learned something new today. I got, first off, those of you who don't know, the wife and I we got a puppy not terribly long ago. She was only like 6-7 weeks old when we got her. And she's a super sweet dog, but she's a puppy. And we're going through the puppy stage, which, you know, the wifey thought that the puppy stage lasts for a week or two. And I'm like, nah, babe, that's like a 6-month ordeal that we get to go through. And it's training every day, and it's patience. And it's, buying a carpet cleaner for the number of times she is going to pee on your rug. And one of the spots we're in now is we are trying to train the dog that while she can hang out on the bed in the daytime, she can't sleep on the bed at night because she is bigger than our OG dog. We let the OG dog sleep on the bed because she's a little bitty thing. Not little, I mean, she's 22 pounds. She ain't a teacup. But the new dog's like a 50-pound dog. Like, she's a good-sized dog. She can't sleep on the bed. And so we're trying to train her off. And the way we're doing that is until she gets into the habit, we are crate training her at night. So the last couple of nights, for whatever reason, she has not been a fan. She has been like barking and whining the entire night, nonstop. So I talked to a friend of mine who is a dog trainer, and I was like, how do I make that stop? And she said, well, what you need to do up front is you need to sleep by her crate, right? Either move it next to the bed or put it next to the couch and sleep on the couch, or like build yourself a little cot on the ground, but like sleep next and just let her see while she's in the crate that you are nearby until she gets comfortable for that. Cool, fine, whatever. So the last couple of nights, because she has been, the first little while, it was just like whining. It was just those little whining. Last couple of nights, it's been barking, flat out barking. So I told the wife, I'm like, hey, look, you got to get your beauty sleep. I usually stay up a little later than you. I'm gonna move the crate next to the couch. I'm gonna sleep on the couch and try to get the dog to quit barking. So I slept on the couch last night. Mistake number one. And then the dog wouldn't shut the hell up throughout the night. And I'm being, every time she barks, I wake up and I'd stare at her and talk to her. She'd calm down. She'd calm down, give her a couple of treats till she relaxes a little bit, go back to sleep. I didn't get more than like an hour and a half of consecutive hours of sleep last night. So already off to an awful start this morning. Then I get in the car, and while I have been doing my best to cut back on the number of energy drinks that I consume on the daily, new coming in today, like just gonna have to have one or two or three or four. We'll see how the day goes. So I stop at the gas station. Well, first I go in the gas station, and the guy working the counter, it's the same guy every morning. He knows who I am. He's a super nice guy. But he's talking to this lady who is standing at the counter and again, this is not judgment. but it's part of the story. She walks up as I'm walking in, and she tells the guy, can I get a pizza? Because the gas station sells like boxed, like big pizzas. And the guy's like, well, it's going to be like 3 or 4 minutes. And the lady's like, that's okay. Well, I'm now standing behind her with like 3 energy drinks in my hand, and she just stands there. And the guy just stands there. And they just both stand there waiting for 4 minutes for her pizza to finish. Could he have just said, hey, can you step out of the way so I can, ring my guy up? Yeah, he could have said that. Because she looked at me, had have looked at him and me and gone like, oh, why don't you go ahead and ring him up? Sure. Nope. Neither one of them. 3.5, 4 minutes. They just both stood there. Now, by the way, not talking to each other. Not like having a conversation. She is standing there on her phone. He is standing there on his phone. Neither of them are interacting with each other. They stand there for 3.5 minutes waiting for her pizza to finish up to put it in a box so she can pay and leave. And I'm just standing there. So after like 3.5 minutes, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I get checked out? And he goes, oh, yeah, my bad. Didn't see you there. Didn't see me there. Been here 4 minutes. He walks me over to the other register, checks me out, sends me on my way. Now I'm heated.
Oh, my bad, dude. I didn't see you there.
And again, like the dude's, he's not that kind of guy. Every morning he's in there. And every morning I walk in, he's like, hey, man. Hey, Rob, what's up? How you doing? How's it going? Like every morning. So then I get in the car and I drive down Haywood Road to get here, right? And there is a cat that, if I am unlucky, there's a cat that drives, and I mean this, down Haywood Road. I am not exaggerating. I wish I was. He drives Great One down Haywood Road at 20 miles per hour.
Yeah,
I think I've talked about him before.
Yeah, we all have that person. And if you miss your window by just a little bit, it's like, oh no, it's them.
And I feel bad for you because he does this every day. Some days I catch him. Some days I'm ahead of him. Some days I don't see him. But a lot of days I get behind this guy. And the back of this guy's car just coated in anime bumper stickers. And I'm like, you're making Lonzo look bad right now. Like you're taking down the entire anime community because everyone behind you hates you. Not is aggravated by you. I mean, hates you. I have these fantasies in my head where I gain the powers of Magneto from the X-Men, and I'm capable of lifting this man's car into the air and flinging it into another county. That's how much I don't dislike this man. I hate this man. He is my arch nemesis at life. 20 miles an hour down Haywood. The speed limit is 30. 20 miles an hour. Now, a lot of mornings, most mornings, gonna keep it a buck. I go around the guy. And the best part of it is I don't have to speed to go around. I can do 5 under and get around him. Most mornings I go around the guy. This morning, he upped his game to like 25 miles an hour. So progress of a sort. Except for most of Haywood is a double yellow line. No passing. And who is behind me on the way to work this morning? One of Greenville's finest. Now, respect to Greenville's finest. All right. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your sacrifice in your service. I appreciate it. I mean that sincerely. But man, you couldn't have picked a worse day to be behind me because I can't pass the guy, even if he's doing 25. He was doing like 24, 25. And in my head, I'm like, go around me and pull this guy over. Right? Like you're the cop. You're allowed to go around me. Turn on the lights. Go. He doesn't. So from my house in Taylor's all the way down Wade Hampton until I got to the interstate, I am doing 25 miles an hour until we got to the spot where it was 2-lane and I was able to get around the guy. And then the cop, here's the best part. And again, not upset. I don't care. The cop, especially because it's 4:15 in the morning. Then the cop, when we get to the 2-lane spot where the McDonald's is, when we get to the 2-lane spot, the cop goes around me before I can go around him. The cop jumps over, flies past me, and just goes, phew, hauling on down the line. Just hauling on down the line. Just gone. And I'm like, now I was behind him for 17 minutes on a part of the road that should take me 6, and now you go hauling ass past me and leave me stuck behind this guy again.
Maybe the policeman was on his way to work. I mean, I don't know. guess you're always on duty, I suppose, but maybe, they got to clock in too. Maybe he was just in a hurry.
No, I'm
to get
sure,
to work.
again, like I'm not upset.
I thought you were going to say he flew past you to McDonald's. That's what I thought you were going to say when you mentioned the McDonald's.
Dude, I mean, just the rage of this. And then I get in here this morning and all of the sound that I set myself last night to record and edit and upload today, none of that's working. I get in here like there's wires crossed the back. It's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. Everything is bleeped. Everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify by ripping someone's head off. It's Limp Bizkit's break stuff. I'm going to be listening to that during the break. Like, that's the day I'm having right now.
Why would you fuel your anger? You need to do the opposite. Go listen to, I don't know, some Sade or something.
Some Enya?
Yeah.
I'm going to go listen to Enya in the office during the break. All right, we got a lot we got to get to today on the radio program. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk we got to continue our conversation about the NBA. Yesterday, we spent quite a bit of time talking about Game 7 of the NBA Finals, talking about the Thunder, talking about the Pacers. Today on the program, a way too early look at what the NBA might look like next year. And I say way too early because there's a lot of moves that have to get made, including yesterday. Drew Holiday traded from the Boston Celtics out to Portland. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the radio broadcast and what that might mean for Beantown's desire to get back into the mix. There's obviously been a conversation going about the number of Achilles injuries that have been suffered in basketball and around athletics, which not a doctor, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. I advise you to take everything that you hear everybody say about this issue over the next few days/weeks, who is not a doctor, with the entire shaker of salt. But there are a few theories that are being floated, including that the number 0 is cursed. Ooh. Dame Lillard, number 0, Achilles tear. Jason Tatum, number 0, knee injury. Was his an Achilles too? I don't remember.
I believe it was. I saw something on SportsCenter this morning.
I think it was. Yeah. And then Tyrese Halliburton, number 0, Achilles tear. 3 number 0s, all superstars, tear their Achilles in the postseason.
Would it be out of the realm of possibility for the NBA to ban the number 0?
No, but I do think that this would be the discussion if it was ever going to happen. And honestly, as much as I come from the camp of more sports is good, I think I might be on board with the concept of shortening the NBA season by 10, 15 games. I think I might be on board with the concept of dropping the number down to, let's say, like 60 regular season games per season. I think I might be on board with that. As much as I love the NBA, as much as I love basketball.
You don't want to drop the number in baseball, but you do in basketball?
Yes, but I'm at the point now where we are seeing years like this year where we get to the playoffs and Dame Lillard going down probably changed that series. Jason Tatum going down definitely lost Boston that series. And I'm not saying that Tyrese Halliburton going down lost the Pacers Game 7 of their series, but it damn sure took away their opportunity to win it. There gets to be a point where, and I know that, and there is one argument, and it is a good one against this. The one argument is the NHL plays the exact same number of games, and it's a way more physical sport. But there is a difference between, and this is one thing that I think is a conversation that on its surface, a lot of people don't jive with. You jive turkey. They don't get down with it. Yes, the NHL is a more physical game.
On.
However, it is a different kind of physicality. There is a big difference between the physicality required to play a game that is basketball, where it's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and hockey, where it is a lot of blunt hitting, just contact. It's different. It is the difference between somebody that is tough because they can, run a marathon and do a triathlon, and somebody who is tough that boxes. It's a different world. There's different reasons, whatever. So
when we had this many injuries that had such a dramatic impact on the NBA's postseason, to the point that I would argue in at least 3 different series, the series was made worse off. Dame going down for Milwaukee. I'm not saying Milwaukee would have beat the Indiana Pacers had Dame Lillard been available. I'm saying they couldn't beat him without him. I'm not saying the Boston Celtics would have beaten the New York Knicks had Jason Tatum been available, but they damn sure couldn't beat him without him. And I'm not saying that the Pacers would have won Game 7 over the Thunder if Tyrese Halliburton was available. I am saying they damn sure could not win Game 7 without him. And when you have those 3 injuries, along with all the other ones, but those were obviously the superstars. When you have those 3 injuries stacked up and impacting an otherwise tremendous postseason, one of the best overall NBA postseasons in recent memory, it is, I think, fair to say, whether you think they're tough or not, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much of a badass you are. You can't work out enough to stop a calf strain. And you can't work out enough to stop an Achilles tear. These aren't things that it's like, do more calf raises, bro. Don't skip leg day, dog. Like, these aren't things that you can prevent by being tougher. You can't hit your way out of an Achilles tear. And so it's one thing if guys were missing playoff games because they were physically beat up. Then I'd be like, okay, I mean, if you want to bang them if you want to knock them down for being, soft or whatever, SAWFT soft, then I would understand that. But when it's Achilles injuries and it's calf strains and it's, ankle rolls or whatever, those aren't things that you can gym your way out of. It can't be done. And so when they are stacking up the way that they have stacked up, I don't think it's unfair to say maybe we should lighten the load just a little bit. 60 games, I think, is enough games to feel like we have an idea of who the best teams in the NBA are. Do we need those 21 more games to figure that out? I don't think so. All right, so we'll talk more about that later on in the show. We're going to do a lot of football today, NFL and college football, because, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to #Peak Off Season. Rob Brown, Lonzo, and you. The Rob Brown Show is on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick read. Be right back. Stay right there. Be right back. Stay right there. What is up, friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. Genuine question that I would like an answer from y'all. The text line, the Hub City Spartanburger text line, is open for you at 844-326-3663. You can use that number to text the radio broadcast, as I appreciate the handful of you who sent me dog and puppy training tips during that break, like the texter that said, Rob, and I quote, listen to me very carefully. Texter said, trust me, man, put a blanket over the crate at night, shut your door, turn on your fan, TV, bathroom fan, whatever you've got. If not, your life will be torture. And then get a shock collar. I've got a 6-month-old lab. He is the devil. Signed, dog owner. Here's the thing. This dog's super sweet. She is getting trained. She is learning. We've got sit down. We've got lay. We're working on stay. It's not going great, but she's a puppy, right? It is 100% separation anxiety that we are dealing with. And it doesn't matter if that separation is like 2 or 3 hours or 2 or 3 seconds. The second she's out of sight from us, she loses her mind. So it's going to be a process of like being a little further away till she gets over. But I appreciate the text. Eric said, get a bark collar. It works wonders. That's in the discussion. Right now we're in the spot where it's like, when she's quiet, she gets a treat, right? She's kind of picked up on barking means no treats. Quiet means treats. Problem is, anytime we stop with the treat, she goes right back to the barking. So it's a process. But I appreciate the tips. Keep them coming if you've got them. Any dog trainers out there that want to pretend to be a miracle worker, holler at your boy, is all I'm saying. All right. Let me ask you this question, because I saw a conversation yesterday about this individual, and then I saw or Lonzo during the break brought up a tidbit about this individual. And I'm kind of curious as to where y'all land on your opinion of Pat McAfee. Genuinely, I'm curious, because Pat McAfee, since he got brought from the Pat McAfee show when he was doing his own kind of independent thing over to ESPN to do the Pat McAfee show on the network. And obviously, when that happened, because of the fact that they didn't really ask him to change the show. They said maybe like tone down the F-bombs a little bit, but occasionally one still pops up on ESPN in the middle of the day. It's not like they said, hey, full out censor, right? Like you got to be broadcast friendly. They just were like, tone it down a little bit. But hey, if you drop an F-bomb, you drop an F-bomb. It's an adult show. They allowed him to get away with a little censor message at the beginning of every show that says, look, if you're not down with adult language, this isn't the show for you, right? And that's okay. But McAfee has also obviously taken that and he has parlayed that into 50 other places. He's doing College Game Day, where he is a desk host along with Nick Saban. He has got the announcer's position, the color position on Monday Night Raw on Netflix, where he is making buku dinero over there. He has showed up in a million different places. He is selling out arenas when he does his live shows, the big night acts. He's got a lot going on. And the reason I find this interesting is because a few days ago, now that we are in hashtag peak off season, the College Game Day Twitter accounts and Instagram accounts, they've gotten active again. I think we're 9 Saturdays away from college football at this point. And so now that we are out of basketball season, or at least NBA season, the dub is still happening right now. But now that we are out of basketball season, now that we are out of college baseball season, now that we are in what is affectionately and colloquially known as the dog days of summer, or as I refer to them as hashtag peak off season, the college football stuff is picking up. Our preseason magazines are about to start dropping around the country. You're about to start seeing every host who can't or doesn't want to talk baseball and golf and NASCAR start jumping into the let's rank this random thing about college football today. Within a couple of days, you are going to see the inevitable rankings of best college football stadiums in America, best fight songs in America, best mascots in America, best rivalries in America. Because a lot of people, and I'm not judging, do you think? A lot of people.
I don't know. When you do the arm thing, it's kind of judging.
It's okay. It's mildly judgy, but I also understand, as I talked about yesterday with the concept of hot take radio, I despise it, and yet everybody has to do it to some degree. I understand that there are, including in our area, a large percentage of listeners, viewers to every network who don't give a rip about anything that's not college football.
No way.
I know. And so you've got to, as we used to call it in the political news talkosphere, you got to toss them some red meat, right? You got to give the people what they want sometimes. And so the thought here is, for a lot of people, you can only talk so much Braves. I can only talk so much Rafi Devers to the Giants. I can only talk so much, and I'm going to again today.
Wait,
but I can only
dude's
talk
name
so
is
much.
Rafi?
It's Raphael.
Okay, all right.
But he's affectionately known everywhere except Boston, where there's no affection at all. He's affectionately known as Rafi Devers.
That sounds like a 6-year-old kid.
No, we call Rafi on Nadal Rafi.
It's just maybe it's the last name makes it sound more childish, but it just sounds more like a kid.
Now you're judgy.
I'm always judgy.
That's fair. Thank you for acknowledging. I appreciate it. You're going to hear a lot of that. So college football's back to active. Blah, blah, blah. Point of all this was the College Game Day social media channels started getting active again and started posting some, college football 9 Saturdays from today. And yesterday, or the day before, one of the clips that they posted was from a game day last year, and it was very Pat McAfee heavy. And when I watched this clip, I started getting genuinely very excited because, hey, college football is just around the corner. And while I'm a big baseball, golf, and NASCAR guy, I do love some college footy. So I, being a man who never learns his lesson, decided to go look at the comment section, bro. Never look at the comment section, bro. If it's something you love, go look at the comments, because 92% of the internet is just people who want to crap on everything you love.
Yeah, but you live on Reddit, so I mean, shouldn't be something unusual for you.
Reddit is an amazing website, and I also acknowledge and admit, and I have to be careful about it sometimes, it is absolutely a place that makes it really easy to design your own echo chamber. I can craft it in a way. I actually have, and this is true, I actually have 2 different Reddit accounts. One of them is my main account, right? It's the stuff I love. I'm in a motorcycle subreddit. I'm in a heavy metal music subreddit. I'm in every wrestling subreddit, right? The other one is the one that I try to make my unbiased subreddit. It is the one where I'm in everything so that I get it from every angle. So I get the social media stuff. I see a couple of game day vids featuring McAfee, and as I go look through them, you get a percentage of the comments that are like, oh, fired up, whatever. And then there is a massive percentage of the comments of people who really don't like him on the broadcast or any broadcast. Oh, he's a frat boy. He's a drunk guy. He's a this. He's a that. And I got curious as to, especially down here in a college football centric region of the country where it is king of the road, there's no question about it, where y'all land on him as a broadcaster. And I ask for a reason. The reason I ask is because I think that I have, for a long time, designed my show in a way that McAfee exploded and took to the moon. It is goofy and fun and fast-paced and loud and energetic, and a lot of the time we take sports seriously, and we talk about X's and O's, and we talk about the impact that different sports stories are going to have on us as fans, on players, on coaches, on umpires, whatever. But It's something where we both take sports very seriously. The tagline I've been using for the past couple of years is we take sports seriously, not ourselves. And that's kind of the impression that I got from his entire realm, the genre, flow, flavor of broadcasting. And so I wondered, because Pat McAfee has missed the last 2 or 3 weeks of Monday Night Raw, 3 weeks of Monday Night Raw. And they haven't told us why. They've just said he's got the night off. And, you know, my thought as somebody with 67 jobs is, if I get an opportunity like that, unless somebody is bleeding or dead, I'm not missing that show. But Pat McAfee also making a gazillion dollars a year. I'm fantasy booking over here. But a couple of weeks ago, Netflix made it known that they are looking for a competitor for Pat McAfee's show. They are looking for somebody to broadcast on Netflix in that time slot that people could stream to be a competitor. Now, they did not say that they want it to be or not to be a McAfee-flavored show. Loud, abrasive sometimes, obnoxious sometimes, super fun sometimes, adult language, maybe not. Like, they didn't say if they wanted to be a McAfee-esque show or to be the anti-McAfee show. Like, maybe they put somebody in there who is really deadly serious about sports, right? They put somebody in there who takes everything very seriously to give you the opposite side of the coin. But I'm curious, when I saw the comments, when I saw Netflix going in that direction, and then when I saw the comments on the game day videos that featured McAfee, the sheer number of people that were in the comments going, I can't stand this guy. He makes game day worse. Game day is worse off because of him. He's obnoxious. He's a frat boy, whatever. I am genuinely curious for y'all, our college football-centric listening audience who listen to this show. Are y'all in or out? Like, does that style of broadcasting, like, we take the sport seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. Like, we're here to have a good time. Do y'all clue into that? Like, is that a thing that you want? Is that something that intrigues you, interests you, or is it a turnoff for your broadcast? 844-326-3663 is the number. 844-FANFONE. I want your thoughts. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
My wife and I were having a discussion last night when McAfee wasn't on while we were watching Raw. And I think of the 3 shows you've mentioned, there's one I could see him going I'd be okay with, and that's Raw.
What do you mean going?
Not being there anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
I think his own show is his own show.
Yeah,
and I watch it when I go home, usually. There's sometimes they get to where I'm like, yeah, I'm done, and I move on. But for the most part, even when they're doing things sarcastically, you could tell they're doing it sarcastically, and they're really trolling people who are not smart enough to get it. But when it comes to wrestling, I think Corey Graves is better. And in wrestling, I think McAfee is Tony Romo. And the enthusiasm's there and everything, but I think it's gotten a little bit old. I think Corey Graves is better. And on game day, they had to replace Corso with a personality. It's a different personality, but it's a personality. Corso was the reason why a lot of people watched. Now he's gone. You got to replace it with a big personality. And I think McAfee's great because you call him his shows like for frat bros. He's going to colleges and he's exciting the crowd, all that kind of stuff.
Well,
they need that sort of thing.
I think there's a couple of things about it. Like, I have enjoyed Pat on Raw, but I also would argue it depends on what you want on the mic, right? And I think this is true for everything. If you want somebody who is going to treat wrestling matches as if they are legitimate fights, if you are going to treat somebody who knows the moves, knows their names, knows why wrestlers are doing them in particular moments, whatever, Graves is your guy. If you want somebody, and this is a turn on for me, if you want somebody who is genuinely a fan and is excited by everything, then McAfee's that guy. And I think there's room for both. I would tell you right now, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they don't just go 3-man box. And I know a lot of people think that's too many voices, but let Colby play-by-play, let Corey Graves describe what's happening and why, and be your heel character. Let Pat be your fan who has a mic and is telling the stories.
By the way, I would not be opposed to that. I think that would
That's how I'd do it.
that would fix the one thing that's lacking when he's there.
I think the
Because
game day
Michael
thing,
Cole has to pick that up because McAfee doesn't.
right. I think the game day thing is different because a lot of the people who complain about McAfee on game day are people who want like
They're
they're
old and serious.
I wouldn't go old and serious. I think there are people who want their sports taken seriously. And there is room for that. I think that's why Kirk Herbstreit's on that show. Like, he's a guy that's going to X's and O's you. I think that's why Desmond's on that show. He's an X's and O guy who understands and can talk about the game from a game perspective.
And
I don't
need
think
someone on there that gets things wrong a lot. That's why
sure,
Desmond's
but
there.
he takes it seriously. I think that there are people who want their sports taken very seriously, and I think there are people who don't. And I think if you don't, then McAfee is appealing, and if you do, then he's absolutely not. Keegan saying yesterday, Pat said that Raw let him be off because of the Pacers, the premium live events, and to prevent burnout. I mean, that makes sense. He is obviously, he was at every Pacers game, certainly the ones at Indiana. They do have, and by the way, there's now obviously a ton of questions about the show in Saudi Arabia going off this weekend.
Yeah, that's been they're still acting like it's happening.
I'm honestly going to assume that they are because they really want that oil money. So it's unsurprising that they would. On top of that, I have to
if you get past
assume
the blood money part and just say money, it wouldn't matter where it was. If the pay-per-view was in Missouri, they still would try to make it happen so they get paid.
I don't disagree, but they're also getting paid more by Saudi Arabia than Missouri.
As far as we know.
Texter said, I got introduced to your show because of the topics that he covers. He literally had me rooting for the Pacers. I don't even watch basketball. That's from Kane. Kane, appreciate that text. Another texter said, Rob, I am all in on Pat McAfee. He is the only reason that I can tolerate ESPN. He is the only reason that I watch College Game Day. He is the only reason that... Oh, God. Okay, that's a continuation of the text. Here's the whole text. I can read. I've done this before. I am all in on Pat McAfee. He is the only reason that I can tolerate ESPN. He is the only reason I watch College Game Day. He is the only reason that I got introduced to your show because of the topics that he covers. He literally had me rooting for the Pacers, and I don't even watch basketball, end quote. That's from Kane. Appreciate it, Kane. Texter said, I like Pat on game day. I feel like he gets the people going. I can't watch his show, though. Too much going on for me. Another texter said, Rob, more of the best damn sports show, period, and Chuck and Shaq humor without loud and obnoxiousness. And that seems to be the popular thought.
By the way, if you watch the show, they're not really loud. I mean, I could get the obnoxiousness stuff. I mean, they're just snarky. And I think some people don't get or don't like snark. I don't understand those people, and they're completely wrong, and they need to learn how to laugh. But anyway.
I think this is one of those spots where the word loud can be used in different ways. I think someone can be loud without meaning they're peaking the dB meter on the board over here.
So you're saying it depends on what your definition of is.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It depends on what your definition of the word is.
Not bad.
It's like a C plus, B minus.
I knew I couldn't do it. So
you gotta do the point but not point, right? Like the curled finger point. I do think Pat is a loud guy without shouting, and to me that's just louder than life, right? Larger than life. It's kind of that same thing. And again, this is from me, somebody who's been accused of that for coming up on 18 years of broadcasting.
No
I know.
way.
And so I, despite the fact that I say this genuinely and respectfully, like Pat stole my shtick, right? Like he does the show the way I do the show. He just had NFL money and resources coming into it, and I don't. But that being said, he also does a really good job of taking advantage of those resources. He does a really good job of putting those resources into play in ways that guys like me don't have the ability to do so. I don't have an issue. He is somebody that I look at and I go, I should be real mad at Pat. He stole my shtick. I told a boss of mine about a decade plus ago, when I was down in Florida, there was a YMCA that got sold off. And I told my boss, because we were broadcasting in the time, out of a 3 office, right? We had 3. One was the bosses, one was the sales pit. There were like 5 salespeople working out of one office, and the other was the radio studio. There was not enough room for 7, 8 people to work out of that building. It was the same setup that Lonzo and I have now, except for a great one. I didn't have this much room on the desk, and the entire office was just the size of the square that we're sitting in. It was like maybe 10 by 10, right? Not enough room.
That producer booth over there?
It was that producer's booth with 2 of us in there.
Okay.
And so I told the boss at the time, I'm like, you know what you ought to do? This YMCA is up for sale. They want to get rid of the building. You should buy it. Get it pennies on the dollar, turn that basketball gym into the studio. Build a little plexiglass studio over on the side, turn it into, let's open it up and make it like a sports hangout. Make it a place where people can come when shows are live and just hang out, be a part of the show, shoot hoops, like whatever. Now, they decided not to do it because there were like a bunch of insurance questions or whatever, but the point is, the idea was there. McAfee had the resources to make that happen, took advantage of it, and created something that is different than anything else. But he also, I think right now, as much as he has maybe the most interesting setup and maybe the most unique show in the sports blogosphere, he also has the most disliked. It is a wildly polarizing thing. And I got genuinely curious because I have also been told, not proven, but told, that my show's kind of like that. It's kind of a polarizing show. Like, you either really like the show or you really don't. And people have not been shy when they don't like the show. You better believe that every now and then, El Roberto jumps on the internet and he goes to some of the message boards that are dedicated to the schools that we cover and Googles his own name. And reads what people are saying about him. And there are some people that are very kind, and there are some people that say things that I would never, ever, ever, ever say to someone else in person. It's unbelievable. So, with all of that being said, this is nothing more.
Just guessing there. I mean,
I'm not saying anybody in particular. I am. Here, I'll give you the example. After Clemson's ACC championship last year, a game I went to, covered, and oh, by the way, did so on my own dime. Okay? I wasn't, like, nobody was going. I said, well, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go. Got a press pass, drove myself up there, didn't ask for comp, didn't stay the night, didn't do anything. Just went on my own dime to get y'all on the field through me. And after the game was over, I pointed out, I don't say this to start crap because I have no interest in starting crap. But I pointed out that after the game was over, when I went down on the field, and I know that they were busy, they had the ACC championship game, they knew that they just punched a ticket to the playoff. I understood it, but I went up and I was talking to some of the media, to some of the media relations staff at Clemson, and they didn't have the time of day for me. Not that night, not the next day, not the next couple of weeks. They basically were like, no, you're a nobody. We don't have time for you. And I understand, we're not the flagship. There's another station in town that is the flagship in the area for that school. But it was a little disappointing. And I said that the next day. Please understand. I went up there. I did so on my own dime. I'm trying to give you guys great coverage. I tried to set up some stuff from the school to get football guys on to talk about the win and where they're going and how they see the playoff shaping up. And that basically got told no. And I came on the air the next day or that next Monday, and I told that story. And I got the crap beat out on me of me on a couple of different message boards for blasting the school and, oh, he's just a hater and he's this and he's that. And people started bringing my wife into, oh, he married a Gamecock. He hates us now. I don't. I want you guys to do great. I said that last year. Go win the Natty because Daddy's going to get paid if y'all go win the Natty. People were saying stuff about me, not to me, but about me. It was brutal. And when I've looked at the comments and seen the stuff that people are saying about McAfee on the College Game Day post, primarily is what I'm looking at. But when I'm looking at the responses and the comments and what people are saying about this guy, I'm genuinely kind of curious as to what it is that people want in their sports broadcasting. And this obviously is important to me because I have to do at the end of the day. It's not really a joke. I've said it before. I have a boss, a programming director who says, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Doesn't take editorial control of the show, but basically says, make sure you're doing a little more of this and a little less of that. But at the end of the day, you guys are my boss. What you react to, what you tweet, what you text, what you call in about, you guys are the boss. What y'all say we should talk about is what we're going to talk about. This is also why I've told you, be involved on the text line. The boss reads them every day. If I talk about something that you want more talk about, text it. Call the show. Engage in the conversation because that's what drives it. So when I saw all that, I found it kind of interesting that here's a dude that a large swath of people who follow these broadcasting outlets seem to genuinely dislike. Yet, those outlets are giving him mucho dinero to keep broadcasting. Stephen A. Smith, same situation. Somebody said on Saturday, on Bet for the Cycle, we were having this conversation. I mean it when I say Stephen A. Smith has ruined basketball on ESPN. Not the game, not opening tip to final whistle, coverage of basketball. Because by being the hot take artist that he is, and also by not knowing ball, brother, because I don't think he does, hence the playing solitaire during the NBA Finals in a game that he's at, when the game is active, I don't think he knows ball. So he generates these hot takes to get attention. The problem is, because of the fact that so many people react to that, it has led to less serious basketball people getting time and more other basketball people going, well, I got to do hot takes too now. I got to do this too. So as much as we all say, somebody on Saturday's show said, Rob and Cody, genuine question, do you know anyone? I'll ask this question to Lonzo right now. Lonzo, do you know anyone who likes Stephen A. Smith? Do you know anyone who compliments Stephen A. Smith?
All right, to a degree, this is an unfair question for me because my circle has grown so small as I've gotten older. But I will say, no, I don't know anyone.
You can open that up to anyone.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know anyone?
I don't know anyone.
I don't either.
I don't know anyone around the building that likes him, for sure.
One of the boys in the background, I bet for the cycle, said, Rob and Cody, do y'all know anyone who likes Stephen A. Smith? And we both genuinely tried, and neither of us could come up with a person that we know or that doesn't work for ESPN that actually likes Stephen A. Smith and his takes. And then they said, then why does he get paid that much? And I said, because people click. Because they click. Because they reply, and as I've said to you before, even if you send a tweet to Stephen A. Smith or any of the other hotheads, and you think you're dunking on him, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the month, when the reports are pulled about how much genuine content and how many reactions he got, it doesn't say he got 5% positive reactions and 95% negative. It just says he got this many. That's all it says. And so
I think if you're someone where you see Stephen A. Smith said this and you click on it, then
you're the reason he gets to keep saying that.
You care what he said.
Yeah.
Or you're reading it because you know you're going to hate it and you want to disagree with it. The thing is, when it comes to if no one's clicking on it, then he goes away. But hate is just as valuable as love in this business.
100%. Clicking on something because you think it's a great take, clicking on something because you think it's a bad take and you want to respond to it, at the end of the day, a response is a response. A click is a click. A like is a like. A comment is a comment. We, at the end of the month, have a little report pulled that tells the bosses, here is how much this person generated reaction, generated feedback. And the answer is 1,000. Not 950 bad, 50 good, you should fire him. No, just 1,000. He got 1,000 feedbacks. And if you get 1,000 feedbacks, you get paid. So the question that I have when I brought this up about McAfee, and I can do the same thing about Stephen A. Smith, I could do it about Colin Cowherd, I could do it about anybody that is inside of the upper echelon.
By the way, I'm more likely to click on Stephen A. Smith than I am Colin Cowherd, because Colin Cowherd's just wrong all the time.
See, I would take, and this is why it's interesting to me. I agree with you. I'll take Colin Cowherd every time. You know why? Because Stephen A. Smith, I do not think crafts opinion. When Colin Cowherd says something and he's wrong, I at least have to argue with him. He at least puts stuff into the argument that you go, all right, it's a good argument, even though you're wrong, and here's why. Stephen A. Smith stuff, and I just go, that's dumb. That's just a hot take. You don't have anything for that. You're just saying a thing for the sake of making me mad. But, again, it gets clicked. So, the question mark I have is, are you in on Pat McAfee? And I ask that because I sometimes, despite the fact that I'm in this industry, we have rules and we have formulas that we are supposed to follow because they are tried, true, and proven in broadcasting about what hooks y'all and keeps y'all listening through a break and through this and through that. And we got to follow all that. But at the same time, what generates interest, what generates feedback, response, criticism, critiques, and clicks is what works. I saw a ridiculous amount of just raw hate for Pat McAfee yesterday, and I was curious, in this college football-centric market, are y'all in or y'all out? Because, I don't know. It's just interesting to me. Now, I told you there's a formula for keeping people through the breaks, keeping people entertained, enlightened, educated. Lonzo Sports Flash is the primary focus of that equation.
Keep them coming back. That's what I do. The Atlanta Braves knocked off the New York Mets for the fourth consecutive time with a 3-2 victory last night. Rob buried the story, but I moved it to first because that's where it belongs. Spencer Schwellenbach went 7 innings with just 4 hits, 2 runs, and 4 strikeouts. The Atlanta offense recorded 9 hits, including Ronald Acuna Jr.'s 9th home run of the year, and RBIs from Sean Murphy and Michael Harris II. The NBA offseason trades are heating up as the Boston Celtics are sending Drew Holiday to the Trailblazers for Anthony Simmons and 2 second-round picks. The deal drops Boston's luxury tax by $40 million as Simmons' contract is expiring and Holiday is owed $72 million over the next 2 years. Arizona Diamondbacks star Corbin Carroll will miss time with a fractured left wrist. Carroll was hit by a pitch in last Wednesday's loss to the Blue Jays, also known as the Blue Jays. Carroll was last year's Rookie of the Year. Blue Jays. You know, the other thing about McAfee on game day is what he's brought out from Nick Saban. And I think Nick Saban's not the same guy on that show if McAfee's not there. I think he really brings something out of Saban, and the dynamic of the two there together, I think, is pretty cool. Did you and I talk about Punisher being added to Spider-Man yesterday?
No.
Yes. Did you see that?
I did. No, we did. Because I think I said that I'm hoping that means that Spider-Man's going to be a street-level movie.
Which I've watched a bunch more things yesterday about it. A lot of people are speculating that. But there's also rumors that there'll be 2 more people showing up. Some people think they're fighting the Hulk, which is not probably going to happen. But how is Punisher there? How are you street level with Kingpin there? Although D'Onofrio says that Kingpin can't appear on movies, but he mentioned Spider-Man in that series.
Sorry, there was a really cool Fernando bobblehead. It had him like doing a celly, and it had the bat on a thing, so the bat was spinning. So he was doing a bat flip.
Oh, that's cool.
That was his bobblehead. That was really sick. I mean, I think technically Kingpin is a street-level villain. I also, right now, I don't believe anything that anyone is saying about
either.
who can and can't be where.
Me either. But Deadline reported that Barenthal was in there, so I believe that. And the story I read where they helped each other read lines before they tried out for Marvel, he and Tom. So dynamics should be good.
Off we go. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. 844-326-3663 is the number to be a part of the radio broadcast as we, ladies and gentlemen, hit peak off-season radio. The NBA has come to its conclusion. College baseball has come to its conclusion. We have to carry us for the next 9 Saturdays until college football fires up. We have effectively, and I think, 8 weeks until, or 7 weeks until the NFL starts back up? We just got a couple of weeks till camp gets here, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the football season not that far away. I think people count football, the average fan counts it when they start seeing players on the field. For us, it starts in 2 weeks when you are at SEC Media Days.
That is correct. If you have missed it, worry not. I shall fill you in on the deets. It's actually 3 weeks from now. I will be in Atlanta, Georgia on July 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th, covering Southeastern Conference Media Days. They will be taking place at the College Football Hall of Fame.
You ever been there before?
I have not.
The Hall of Fame?
I have not.
So you're going to take time to go check. I mean, you got to check that out while you're there, right?
I think that I am probably going to go over on, scratch that. I am going to go over on Sunday. Going to get checked in Sunday. Sunday's going to be, make sure I've got my bearings, got my wits about me. Make sure I know kind of where I am.
Would you send me pictures of the entire wing that's just Ohio State? Because I'm sure they have an entire wing.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I'm sure
there is.
It may have branches. It's
not just the wing; it's the whole bird, man. I am gonna go over on Sunday. Get myself. I believe they are gonna give us access to the College Football Hall of Fame on Sunday for those of us that are going to be broadcasting early Monday morning. So I'll get all set up. But I do not know if I'll have access to the building that day or not. What I do know is we do, for the duration of that event, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, pretty much have free reign of the College Football Hall of Fame. So I will absolutely be taking one day that will just be hours in that building. I mean, just hours in that building.
Will you read every plaque?
Every sign, every plaque, every banner. I will be looking in every corner for every little bit of trivia and tidbit I can find.
How many selfies will we get?
As many as my phone storage is capable of holding. I take that back. I'm not really a huge selfie guy unless it's like one of my things, right? If it's something that I'm in love with, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'll just take pictures and show you guys.
I'm sure there's some things there that you're in love with. It's College Football Hall of Fame.
I'm very much looking forward to it. I do know that one of the nights, the College Football Hall of Fame at night will be closed except for people that are attending the event. Now, there's going to be a gazillion people at this event, but it's going to be closed entirely except for those of us that are covering this event. So that night, while I'm sure everybody else will be schmoozing with each other, your boy's going to take full advantage.
Come on. Yeah, it's you and all your friends. You know all those people. So I
genuinely, I do know a couple of guys that are down from like my old stomping grounds that'll be up. But I don't know, like ACC Media Days, we've been going for what, four years now? And I pretty much, like, it's the same people every year. A couple of changes every now and then, but, you bump in everybody, you pick up where you left off. This is the first SEC Media Days that I will be attending. I'm intrigued to see how it goes. I'm intrigued to see, the big names that are there.
When you say first, you mean ever?
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yes, this is the first SEC Media Days that I have ever covered as a broadcaster in person. I've covered the spring meetings many times because they're in Destin, and back when I was working in Destin, obviously I was able to go. But my old station was a little mom and pop outlet, so they wouldn't send me. And the other stations that I worked at that did send somebody, I was always the low guy on the totem pole, so I was never the guy that got picked. I get picked to be, hey, we need you to go out of town to cover the PGA Senior Tour event. But shockingly, when it was SEC Media Day time, everybody in the building wanted to go. It was incredible. I was at the news. Whenever the news needed somebody to go out and cover, we're opening a new bypass on the interstate 42 miles out of town. Can you go cover that? Oh, hey, the Blue Angels want somebody to go fly with them. Oh, all of a sudden, everybody in the building, oh, no, I got that Sunday off. I can't work any other Sunday.
You're too tall to do that. You wouldn't be able to.
No, I wasn't. They asked me first. And then our news director shot me down to send a young lady who, let's just say, filled out the flight suit a little better than I would have. It was a little frustrating. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Point is, SEC Media Days, 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th of next month. And then we will be at ACC Media Days. Now, we are working on the schedule for ACC Media Days. We do not know if we will be live there due to some technical circumstances, et cetera. If we will be live all 3 days, if we will be live just one day, Clemson's day. We don't know what that's going to be formatted like yet. I do know I will be in Atlanta and live at all 4 days of SEC Media Day. So make sure you got that on the calendar and check in live because we are your front seat ticket for the biggest conference in college football. We're also your front row seat, front row seat. Yeah, that was right. I was right the whole time. For this.
Stop second guessing yourself.
Just for this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"These are going to hurt you, sir."
Take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers this morning. When you do, this is what you will be discussing. Now, today's kind of an interesting day because over the past few weeks, we've had the NHL Stanley Cup as a frequent news item. We've had the NBA playoffs as a frequent news item. We've had a bunch of different stories of sports that have been active. Now we are in, for just a few weeks, to the season that I call hashtag peak off season. And I kind of want to know how you guys want this thing formatted for the next few weeks. Because again, once we get to camps starting up for the college and NFL football worlds, football is always going to go to the front of the line. Once we get closer to Major League Baseball's playoffs and teams are jockeying for playoff positions, scores become a lot more important. Well, they're just as important today, but y'all care about them more because you don't understand that a game won in April is the same value as a game won in September.
Hey, can we do 3 weeks of esports?
No, we cannot. But thank you for asking.
All right.
I
I was
appreciate
just
you
giving an
checking in.
example that someone could suggest.
So I want to know what it is that y'all think is a water cooler cheat sheet item moving forward. Now, I'm going to do it today based on what I think they are, and then I'd like your reaction. Do you think that I have successfully selected the 3 most important sports stories of the day, or am I flavoring it too much for me? Because I run the show, and I have to set this up every day.
Yeah, there's your name right over there.
It is. It's on the TV.
Yeah.
For sure. So, is this an acceptable water cooler cheat sheet? That's going to be my question. We'll find out. Item number 1. They dropped a 2-0 lead over Palmeiras yesterday, but they did get the 2-2 draw against Palmeiras yesterday. Inter Miami is the only MLS side in the FIFA World Club.
You're starting with soccer and not the Braves?
It is, oh, God, yes. Yes. And I'll tell you why, because we're going to get to the Braves here in just a couple of minutes from now. I am opening with soccer. I am opening with the FIFA Club World Cup. It is the biggest soccer event happening on the planet right now. The best clubs from around the world are all here on American soil, competing for a tournament championship that y'all don't care about at all. But I do, and a lot of people do. Anyway, Inter Miami, the only MLS side to make it out of the group play of the FIFA Club World Cup. Now, we're going to talk about the fact that they had a 2-goal lead. They gave up 2 very late in this contest. It was a disappointing draw for a team that with a win could have outright won the group. Instead, they check in second. Their reward for checking in second, the first round they will play in the knockout phase, they take on Paris Saint-Germain, maybe the best club on the face of the planet, maybe the best soccer team, domestic league soccer team on planet Earth. They're going to get wrecked, even with the guys that they have playing, even with Leo Messi, even with Suarez. Like, this team is going to get absolutely wrecked by Paris Saint-Germain. But they made it out. This story, however, is not about Inter Miami. It is not about the one MLS club that made it out of group play. This story is about the fact that only one MLS club made it out of group play. This story is about the fact that this is the league that Team USA Soccer is trying to convince us is going to provide depth for the international squad. Now, I would honestly love for that to be the case. I would love for MLS to become an internationally respected league. I would love for MLS to become a league that is mentioned along with Serie A and Bundesliga and the Premier League and La Liga, et cetera, et cetera. But we're nowhere near it. And there's a lot of reasons that we're nowhere near it. I've told you many times. The first is that we don't treat soccer the way the rest of the world treats soccer. We only treat soccer at its highest level as a for-profit endeavor. Yes, other clubs internationally, high-level clubs, are treated as for-profit, but the game is not. The game is not. We treat the game as a for-profit endeavor. That includes all the way down to growing domestic talent. Other clubs, Chelsea, Man United, Barcelona, AC Milan, et cetera, like world-class clubs, they set up effectively soccer universities. They set up youth clubs that when they spot domestically a young player who's got it, they go get that guy and they provide them with everything that guy needs to become the best soccer player that guy can be. And they grow them to be great soccer. We don't do that. In fact, quite the opposite. We are watching MLS academies be shut down because they don't make money. So when U.S. Soccer has been arguing for years that MLS and the players from that organization are going to be the source of depth for U.S. Soccer, one club made it into the Club World Cup knockout round, and that club made it through because they have the greatest soccer player in history, Leo Messi, and they have, while he is not the guy he used to be, a still tremendously talented Suarez on this team. If that is the case, we are just never going to compete. And I am doing my best to believe that one day we will. That one day this sport will gain the popularity it deserves, and that our best soccer players start playing soccer and aren't the backup defensive back, because real men play football.
It's good to have a dream, Rob.
And I will continue to have that dream. But I got no reason to believe this dream after what we saw. Item number 2. The Braves have beat the New York Mets for the 4th consecutive time, 3-2. Your final score yesterday, Spencer Schwellenbach gave this team another gem, his 6th win on the season, 7 innings, 4 hits allowed, 2 runs berth earned, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Did surrender another home run to Juan Soto in the 6th inning, but it was the only time the Mets would cross the dish. On the flip side, 9 hits for the Atlanta offense, including a pair from Ronnie, including another big dong, his 9th big dong of the season. Matty Ice Baby went 2 for 5 with a K. RBIs from Acuna off the dong, Sean Murphy, and Michael Harris II. Everybody else scored on all 3 of those were the 3 runs that the Atlanta Braves scored last night. Atlanta improves to 36-41. They are now 10.5 games back of the division-leading Philadelphia Phillies. They are now just 9 games back of a team they have beat 4 times in a row. No, I'm not falling for it again. Okay? And we're going to talk about this coming up here in just a few minutes from now. But if the Braves beat a divisional rival, we talk about it. Item number 3. And this is where it starts to get interesting. What is item number 3? Well, to me, item number 3 is a conglomeration of baseball stories because it's now baseball season. That we got baseball, golf, and NASCAR. NASCAR ran on Sunday. The winner was an item of this yesterday. We have pretty much nothing going on in NASCAR, with the exception of the discussion about the fact that NASCAR might benefit from moving to a streaming-only service. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But baseball stories, of which there are a few. There is the fact that Corbin Carroll is headed to the injured list, one of the best young players in the game, and one of the few reasons that the Arizona Diamondbacks are in any sort of contention for the National League. Corbin Carroll last year won the NL Rookie of the Year. Last year, Corbin Carroll was a National League All-Star. Corbin Carroll took a pitch off the left wrist on Friday, tried to get through it. Turns out an X-ray did not disclose initially that he has a fracture in his left wrist. He is going to the 10-day DL, though it is expected that it will take him longer than that to get back. That is also interesting because during Monday night's game, third baseman Eugenio Suarez and first baseman Josh Naylor both left the contest early. Suarez hit on the right hand by a pitch in the first inning. Naylor left in the 4th with right shoulder discomfort. Both players listed as day to day. So at a point in time where the Arizona Diamondbacks out of the NL West were fighting to stay relevant, 7.5 games back of the Dodgers, 4 games back of the Giants for the first wild card spot out of that division. They have now lost both corners of their infield, and the only outfielder that is hitting the ball exceptionally well. Aside from that story, the not Oakland Athletics broke ground on their new stadium in Las Vegas yesterday, and what I thought was a hilarious twist, they broke ground on their new stadium yesterday in front of a crowd of about 13 people. Now, this is supposed to be a big deal. This is supposed to be an event that a lot of people turn out to. When I say this, it is not smoochy smoochy. It is not to kiss butt. It is not to blow smoke. I say this because it's true. A couple of months ago, the Greenville Triumph broke ground on their new stadium out there in Malden at the Bridgeway Center. There were more people at that groundbreaking than there were at groundbreaking for the Oakland Athletics new stadium. For the not Oakland Athletics new stadium in Las Vegas yesterday. It warms the cockles of my icy cold heart to see John Fisher's squad after he effectively flipped all of Oakland off, a phenomenal baseball town, one of the most loyal fan bases in MLB, in order to move that team to Vegas and, I guarantee you, sell it within the next couple of years to make a few billion profit, because in the real world, the bad guys win a lot. It warmed my heart to see that nobody cares. He's still going to make billions of dollars. But, like, the only thing that can make me happy about a James Bond level villain of a billionaire getting his comeuppance is I know that those cats have egos. All of them. You don't get to have $1 billion without A, having an ego, and B, not caring about anybody but yourself. So when I see their feelings get hurt, it makes me feel good on the inside. Take that, John Fisher, you multi-billionaire piece of crap who's never going to have to worry about anything for the rest of your life. Pretty excited about it. Pretty excited about it. Hey, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from now, let's talk about why, no, even with 4 wins in a win, 4 wins in a row over the Braves, I'm not excited. I'm right back. I wore all Braves gear on Friday, and I'm right back to bleep this team. And I'll tell you why when we come back. Rob Alonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Bojangles with the what is it called? Carolina dog?
Called it a bird dog.
Bird dog, that's what it is.
Yeah. And earlier I saw a burrito.
A wrap, yeah.
I was like, oh, hold on. Okay.
I'm down for a bird dog.
Why not? I'm not opposed to it.
Chicken tenny on a bun with some good sauce. And I think they're using their, what's that stuff called? Tahiti sauce? Tahiti sauce? Not Tahiti.
I don't know, but it sounds appetizing.
It's an Indian spice, and it's I use it at the house. I just can't remember the name of
Is
it.
the stuff that they normally have on their chicken?
No, this is a.
Chicken. Oh my god.
Somebody turned me onto it. It's an Indian spice combination. It's got kind of a like citrusy lime taste, but it puts some pop on everything. And then somebody turned that into an aioli, and I'm all in. Be right back, dudes. The Atlanta Braves beat the New York Mets. What is happening? No, I know what's happening to me. The rage inside me this morning is white hot. I'm not even a mad person, but I'm just mad today. The Atlanta Braves defeat, for the fourth consecutive time, their NL East rivals, the New York Metropolitans, by a score last night of 3-2. They swept the Mets last week at home. They are off to a phenomenal start with a 3-2 win on the road in the Big Apple last night. This one is a 4-game series at New York. New York currently second in the NL East with a record of 46-33. They are a game and a half behind the divisional leading Philadelphia Phillies. Atlanta is 10.5 games back of Philly and even 9 games back of the Mets. Now, there's a couple of things going on here that I think we have to talk about the Atlanta Braves. The first is, as mentioned, you've won 4 consecutive over the New York Mets. Here's the reason that I'm not excited about it. There is, in years gone by, very little that I get as excited about for Atlanta as beating the 2 teams that currently sit 1 and 2 on the top of this division, the Mets and the Phillies. With all due respect to our guy, James, P1 and daily viewer of our live stream, available at facebook.com/thefanupstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Fan Upstate on Twitter, and The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Our resident Philly sports fan. I cannot stand the Philadelphia Phillies, predominantly their fans. The same is true about the New York Metropolitans. I take great joy in Atlanta defeating those 2 teams. And in other years, I would take great joy, especially in the Atlanta Braves defeating those 2 NL East divisional rivals, when my team stinks and their team are true contenders. But I don't care right now. I don't care. I don't care for a handful of reasons. Number one, I don't care because let me give you the results of the Mets' schedule leading up to last night. 7-5 loss to the Rays, 8-4 loss to the Rays, 9-0 loss to the Rays, 5-4 loss to the Braves, 5-0 loss to the Braves, 7-1 loss to the Braves, 10-2 loss to the Phillies, 11-4 win against the Phillies, 7-1 loss to the Phillies, 3-2 loss to the Braves. The Mets right now are on a world-class Metsing. The Mets right now are in the middle of, I think, perhaps outside of Atlanta's start to the season, perhaps the most pathetic run of baseball that any Major League Baseball team that is worth talking about has been on. That doesn't include, obviously, the Colorado Rockies, who are 18-60. But I will also point out that the Colorado Rockies, the worst team in baseball, and a team that might contend for the worst team in baseball history, they're 5-5 in their last 10. They're playing better baseball than the Mets are right now. That's just a thing that is true. So I'm not hyped up because you are, yes, beating a divisional rival in divisional games, but you're beating a Mets team that right now is in the middle of, I'm not going to call it an implosion, but it kind of is, because the Mets are currently beating themselves as much as the Braves are beating them. That's why they got swept by the Rays, of all teams, before they got swept by the Atlanta Braves. And that is why they dropped 2 out of the 3 against the Phillies, and they lost that. They lost that series 2-1. The run differential in that series was like 10, even though they scored 11 in one of those games. They're not a good baseball team. Right now, they are a good baseball team. They're just not one right now. Reason number 2 is because this Atlanta team is wildly inconsistent. It's what they've done all year. They give you these moments where last Thursday night, as they were playing the Mets in Game 3 of a 3-game homestand against their divisional rival, I was texting a dear friend of mine, also a Braves guy. We are each other's therapist when it comes to baseball. I texted him and I said, hey, man, I hate the Mets so much that even though I have been down and out on the Bravos, because the Bravos are down and out, if we sweep this series tonight, I will wear all Atlanta Braves gear on the show tomorrow. And he said, bet. And I did. Paid that off. Showed up in the hat, in the T-shirt last week. Do you know what happened after they beat the Mets, after they swept the Mets in a 3-game series? They went down to Miami. They went to take on a Marlins team that is 31-45. They went to take on a Marlins team that has right now literally only one team with fewer wins than them in the National League. That's the Colorado Rockies. And only 2 teams in all of baseball with a worse record than them. That is the Colorado Rockies and the Chicago White Sox. An absolute embarrassment of a pair of franchises. And do you know what they did coming off the sweep of the New York Metropolitans? They went to Miami and they lost 2 out of 3 games. And to keep it a buck, they lost 2 out of the 3. The one they won 7-0 was against Miami's 6th pitcher in a 5-man rotation. You played a minor leaguer who got caught up into that spot. What do you want me to latch on to here? What am I supposed to be excited about? You are 5 games below 500. You swept the Mets at a point in time where the Mets are playing, and I mean this, the worst baseball in Major League. They are right now, I'm not anywhere close to overall, but over the past 2 weeks, the Mets have embarrassed themselves. And when you got the opportunity, because I did say last Friday after sweeping the Mets, this is a spectacular opportunity from Atlanta. It's a spectacular opportunity for this team to take the Momo that they built up from this 3-game sweep and to find some level of consistency, to get into that locker room after the 3-game sweep was completed last Thursday night, to go into the locker room, to slap each other in the head and go, that's what we can do. That's how good we can be. Even if the Mets are playing bad ball, we took advantage of it. Because in the series right before that, the Braves won the first 2 games against the worst team in Major League Baseball and maybe the worst team in Major League Baseball history, the 2025 Colorado Rockies. They won the first 2 games. They went into Sunday, Father's Day, against the Rockies in Game 3. Fantastic opportunity to make up ground. And remember, when I've talked to you guys the last few weeks about this team, and y'all have said, oh, Rob, we can still come back. We can still make a wild card run. We could still backdoor our way into the playoffs and get hot at the right time. I said, you're absolutely right. But do you know what it will require? It will require you to take advantage of the fact that you have the arguably easiest remaining schedule in this division. It will require you, when you have teams like the Colorado Rockies lined up across from you, those games are must-win games, not should-win games, not win-on-paper games. Those are games that you must put up more runs than the other team, because if you are not getting the gimmies, you're not going to win enough against the Phillies and the Mets to erase a 10-game deficit.
All right, so I have a question about baseball in general, because I haven't paid attention to losses before, and I'm looking at overall standings. Are there no great teams in baseball? It looks like even the best ones are barely over mediocre. I mean, when every team has at least 30 losses and you're just about halfway through the season, are there no great teams in baseball?
No, quite the opposite.
Because if there are no great teams, and if this is truly parity, then why can't the Braves win the whole thing?
Because they're not good.
Okay.
And
so,
the league.
So that team so the Mets are 46-33. They lost 33 games.
Yes, and they
That
won
is a lot.
46.
Wow. So 13 games. I don't get this about baseball. So you can have this many losses and it's okay. Where are the great teams? In the past, has there been a team that's won 30, 40 more games than they lost?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, because right
There
now
will be.
it's not looking like that's going to happen.
There will be, at the end of this year, I suspect, 2 to 3 teams that are 25 to 30-ish games above 500. This year, you have a couple of things. Number one, the LA Dodgers, that's a great baseball team. The Dodgers have more talent on their injury list just in the pitching bullpen than most teams have
And they've lost
on their
30.
staff.
They've lost 31 games.
Because
how is that good?
because they have 3 Cy Young winners that can't pitch because they're hurt right now.
And they've
3
lost,
guys.
They've lost 31 games.
Because they have 3 Cy Young winners on the bench that can't pitch.
They're 18 and 17 away from home.
Because
Wow. Okay.
they have 3 Cy Young winners on the bench.
You're never going to sell me on. He said bench, by the way.
Hey,
You're
quick
never,
question.
You're never going to sell
Hey,
me on
Lonzo,
baseball.
quick question. If Patrick Mahomes can't play for the Chiefs, what's the record going to be? Probably not a 14-win team. Right? Right. Because your best player's not playing means you can't be as good.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Andy Reid's a pretty good coach.
Okay.
And
From a
they
guy.
were winning before Mahomes took over. He just took them to that next level.
Right, he did.
Alex Smith was winning.
Would
I mean,
they
he
be
was.
at that next level without him? No.
I don't know.
No.
Neither do you.
There's a lot of very good teams. The Cubs, better than anybody thought. The Phillies, the Mets, both good teams. The Dodgers, Giants, Padres, all very good teams. The Astros, good team. The Mariners, putting it together. The Tigers, best team in baseball. The Guardians, good team. The
So
Yankees,
the
good team.
Braves
The
are a
Rays,
couple
good team.
wins away
The Jays,
from
good
being a
team.
good team.
The Red Sox.
That's what you're saying.
No,
Yeah.
they're not.
Absolutely. If you compare it to everybody else's loss record, yeah, they are.
Oh, you mean all those teams that are 16 games over 500 and the
Wow.
Braves are 5 off of
Wow.
it? Lonzo, that is 21 games of difference. That's so many games.
And like what, 90 games left?
Yes, because as we all know, when
Plenty
you
of time.
perform,
Plenty of time to fix that.
I cannot wait.
I have never rooted for a baseball team as much as I am for the Braves now. Just to watch you have to apologize to everybody.
So when we get to the end of the year, you're going to say, Rob, I'm sorry I frustrated you so many times. Turns out you know ball and you were right the whole time. Are you
First
going
of
to
all,
say that?
I will say, Rob, I'm sorry your team sucks.
Correct. And I'll say, you mean the thing I said all year and you kept being a butt because you know I was right and you didn't want to say it?
You're right.
That,
Me being positive is being a butt. Okay.
it is when you ignore reality. Nothing in the world freaking ticks me off as much as people who pretend reality isn't real. You are entitled
All
to
right,
your own
angry guy.
opinions, not your own facts.
That's my third rotation of the bed. Can we please go to break so we don't get in trouble?
Dewey said, you have a bad attitude. Yeah, I do.
Especially today.
The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Apparently the world sucks, and I got to pee.
Who's a bad football team in your opinion right now? Just a bad team.
None, because everybody's undefeated.
Okay. Be right back, guys. Y'all stay right there. from that postseason. One of the things which detracted from that postseason was the injuries. One of the things was the injury to Tyrese Halliburton. One of the things that distracted from the NBA postseason was the injury to Jason Tatum. One of the things that distracted from the NBA's postseason was the injury to Damian Lillard. Some of the biggest stars in the game, some of the most impactful players in some of the most important series in the NBA's postseason went down. All three of those cats going down to Achilles tendon injuries, snapped Achilles tendon injuries. And more importantly, I think, than the fact that all three of those guys went down is the fact that likely all three of them will miss the majority of, if not the entirety of, the 2025-26 NBA regular season, which means that the Boston Celtics will not be the powerhouse attention-grabbing club next year that they were this year. Now, granted, they were this year the reigning defending. What it means is that the Milwaukee Bucks, who were kind of the, oh, would you look at that, until this year, the, oh, would you look at that, maybe small market teams can get it done club, probably isn't going to be. And oh, by the way, no guarantee Giannis Antetokounmpo is on that team next year. There are growing signs that Giannis will move out of Milwaukee, in which case any capability of this team to maintain competitiveness is leaving with him. Dame's a good player, but this team will not be able to be a finals contender without both of those guys. Dame Lillard by himself is not keeping the Bucks in the mix. And Dame Lillard probably missing, again, a good chunk, if not the entirety of next season with that Achilles tear, is going to entirely remove the Milwaukee Bucks from postseason contention. Remember, this year with both of those guys, they had to fight their way in, and then Dame got hurt, and they got bounced relatively quickly by the Indiana Pacers, who did go on to the NBA Finals, but the point stands. So the question mark that is flying around right now, a very popular discussion that is taking place right now inside of the NBA fandom is this the time that the NBA should shorten the season? And I have two different arguments. I have two different thought processes here. The first is one that we as fans don't love to hear. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. You could put everything on the table right now. You could put a mountain of evidence on the table right now that proves it would be beneficial to the league to shorten the season. This conversation is almost not worth having because they're not going to. And why aren't they going to, America? Say it with me, everybody. Money. They get paid too much. There is too much in terms of sponsorship deals. There is too much in terms of television revenue. There is too much in terms of league partnership for this organization to genuinely consider shortening the season, even if we could empirically prove that doing so would be better for the NBA. The only thing that they're going to do is what is best for the NBA, and as it is not a charity, that is, how do we get the most money? And if ESPN is forking over billions of dollars to have an 82-game season, they're having an 82-game season.
Unless you can design a new human being, there are going to be injuries in every single sport. There's no way to eliminate.
I'm not going to disagree.
This.
I'm not going to disagree. That is part of sports, for sure. But I would also make the argument, specifically when we are talking about strains, when we are talking about Achilles ruptures, tears, etc. These are, and I have done some amount of research on this. I'm not an expert. I'm not a physiologist. I'm not an anatomist. I'm not a biologist. I'm not an orthopedic surgeon. I am a guy who has the internet and doesn't mind reading stuff. These injuries are wear and tear injuries. A dislocated finger, that's a physical injury. A torn ACL, that is a physical injury. These are injuries that happen because the body landed the wrong way or was contacted the wrong way and at the wrong time. An Achilles tear is a wear and tear injury. A calf strain is a wear and tear injury. And here's what I'm going to tell you. For those of you that have complained over the past couple of years about the concept of load management and that load management is bad for the NBA, prepare yourself, my dudes, because after the Bucks lost Dame Lillard, the Celtics lost Jason Tatum, and the Pacers lost Tyrese Halliburton, I think you're about to see load management go through the roof.
Is there something in the players' union where the player has final say on whether they play or not?
No, but there are load management rules that the NBA has some light ones put into place and others that they have discussed.
All right, so I'm just talking about injury-wise. So in the case of Halliburton with his calf strain, could the coaching staff have said sorry, or the trainers say sorry, you can't play?
Yeah. In fact, during the regular season, and I think I said this on the show yesterday, I don't remember. If that was a Tuesday night game in February, 100% Tyrese Halliburton sitting out for 2 weeks. 100% he is sitting out.
Shouldn't the doctors have the final say of, hey, I don't care if you want to play, you can't?
They do. But a calf sprain, especially when the night before Game 7, the dude goes out there. We had a cat on Bet for the Cycle on Saturday to break this all down from Indianapolis, who covers the team. And he said that Tyrese did not just on Saturday attend the team walkthrough. He practiced. He went out there. He ran up and down the court. He took shots. He got down and slapped the court and did his, his defensive alignment drills and all that. He gave it a full practice. And he gave it a full practice because, hey, it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. I'm playing, right? I'm risking the injury. In fact, Tyrese put out a statement on social media yesterday saying that even knowing what he knows, if we got 88 in the DeLorean and went back to Sunday, even knowing what he knows now and having happened what happened as a part of his memory, if he could go back to Sunday, he would do it again. And I don't blame him. It's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Again, it's not a March game in TNT. This is a game where at the end of it, somebody is getting a Larry O'Brien. So, yeah, he's going to play. And I don't think that there are too many NBA players. You can make the argument. I heard I saw a clip yesterday from Gilbert Arenas podcast, which has gained traction as one of the more popular basketball podcasts right now. And he had a lady on who was asking him, and I don't know how they got to this because I just saw the clip on social media, but she said, Gil, at the end of your career, you were making $172 million on your contract. You could have gone to and played for a team like the Pacers for $150 million. $120 million. She said, Gilbert Arenas, would you have traded the $50 million that you got paid to play on a bad team? Would you have traded that to play for a championship team if I guaranteed you would have become an NBA champion? And Gilbert Arenas said, no, that's $51 million, right? Like $51 million. I would not have traded a ring for 50, or I wouldn't have traded $51 million for a ring. I think that there are a lot of basketball players. I think there's a lot of athletes in general. For Hoopst, playing an organized professional team activity is a job. How many of y'all don't do your job because you love your job? You do your job because the job pays your bills, Probably a healthy portion, if not most of you. Some of us are very fortunate to actually be able to live the old, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life gig. And let's keep it a buck. I love my job. Most of my hours are work I do not want to be doing. My job is not sit in front of a microphone and talk for 4 hours. That's just the fun part of it. There's a lot of it I don't want to do, but I have to do it. So there are a lot of competitors, however, that 100%, no matter how banged up they are, if there's a chance to play in an NBA Finals Game 7, they're playing. Tyrese is one of them. But I also think that Tyrese, when he comes back from this injury, which, by the way, yesterday we got the Shams wow that Tyrese is going to miss all of next season. He will not be able to go for the Pacers next year, which means the Pacers are not going back to the NBA Finals next year, which means, as much as I despise it as a small market team, all the momentum that they built up this year, unless they can land, and they can't because they don't have the money, unless they can land a Giannis Antetokounmpo to replace Tyrese, they're done. They're done. They're going to have to rebuild this entire thing in the 2026-27 season. When Tyrese comes back, I expect dramatic load management from him. I expect it from Dame Lillard. I expect it from Jason Tatum, et cetera, et cetera. We could solve the load management problem in the NBA if you consider it a problem. I honestly don't. I get why it's considered a problem. I don't agree that it is. But I'll make it really easy on you. Either shorten the season from 82 games down to 60. 60 is plenty of time for the teams to jockey for position and figure out who's going into what playoff spot, where, and who's playing whomst when. Or option number 2, get rid of the back-to-backs, get rid of the travel day followed by an immediate game, get rid of all of the stresses on a basketball player because of competitive repetitiveness. And let's go back to having a longer spaced out season with a couple fewer games per night, but more opportunity for dudes to get right. Because if you have another offseason like this one that's really good and all these injuries derail that and take away from that, basketball can't get better. All that being said, it won't matter because they get paid too much money. Sorry, that's what it is. Back after Lonzo, I'm going to say arouses you with this sports flash.
He's trying to recover from the fact that he technically called me Alonzo. The Atlanta Braves knocked off the New York Mets for the 4th consecutive time with a 3-2 victory last night. Spencer Schwellenbach went 7 innings with just 4 hits, 2 runs, and 4 strikeouts. The Atlanta offense recorded 9 hits, including Ronald Acuna Jr.'s 9th home run of the year and RBIs from Sean Murphy and Michael Harris II. The NBA offseason trades are heating up as the Boston Celtics are sending Drew Holiday to the Trailblazers for Anthony Simmons and 2 second-round picks. The deal drops Boston's luxury tax by $40 million as Simmons' contract is expiring and Holiday is owed $72 million over the next 2 years. That's a lot of money. I don't know if you knew that. Arizona Diamondback star Corbin Carroll will miss time with a fractured left wrist. Carroll was hit by a pitch in last Wednesday's loss to the Blue Jays. Carroll was last year's Rookie of the Year and an NL All-Star. Hour number 3, the Rob Brown Show, coming up. Come on, do the thing. Do the thing. Do the thingy thing. There we go. By the way, be careful out there today. They're saying heat index is going to be 106 degrees. So, you know, stay hydrated. Stay inside if you can. Start feeling cold while you're outside. It's not a good thing. I know in the end, if you're out there and you hear someone on the radio say to do all this, you're like, duh. But, it doesn't hurt to remind people. I've had to work out in the heat before. It's not fun. Be careful, William. They said a heat index of 106. That's a lot. I had to work out in that kind of heat when I was younger, and it was not pleasant. Stayed fairly thin, though. There's that. Good luck with the surgery, Stephen, and at least, those hospital rooms are well air conditioned. Normally. I had thought about just going out and sitting on the porch and see how many LBs I can drop and then going back in.
It's a sauna.
It doesn't work that way, though. If you go outside and sit, you may get hot, but you're not really sweating. You got to actually move around some. I'll just avoid wasps, which seem to be plentiful this year. Makes me want to let my cat outside. She's a killer. She'll take a wasp out in no time. What is a spring chicken? Is it like a chicken that was born in the spring?
Chickens are born in the spring, therefore a spring
Are they
chicken.
always born in the spring?
I assume. Aren't most birds born in the spring? That's why it's birds chirping.
Is that
I don't know.
true?
All right, we're all about to learn something together again. What is a spring chicken? Asked the great one, Lonzo. Why do we utilize the term spring chicken as our go-to phrase? First off, I do think that is it is obviously accepted, but I got to assume that's a Southern saying. I could be wrong because I know like the most famous chickens are like Rhode Island chickens or something.
I've heard that in Ohio, but again, my family's from Kentucky, so maybe that's why I heard that.
The first, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the first colloquial use of the word spring chicken that we can find was in 1857. That is the first time. And the definition of spring chicken in the dictionary, definition number one is a young person. A young person. So that's just what that phraseology means now. According to etymology.com, in the early 1700s, farmers found that chickens born in the spring brought better prices than the old ones that had gone through the winter. When farmers tried to sell the old birds as new spring-born, buyers complained that they were, quote, no spring chicken. So there you go. Because spring chickens got farmers more money than
by
winter
the way,
chickens.
this was a comment on
So Alonzo's a winter chicken.
I've been talking on the stream about the heat and telling people to be careful because nothing makes you be careful more than someone on the radio telling you to be careful, and so we're obligated to do that. And one of the listeners, William, said he's no spring chicken. That's where that came from. Also, Rob, for some reason, believes that birds are only born in the spring, and they are not.
I didn't say only.
You kind of did.
I believe that most birds, not necessarily chickens, but most birds have their babies in the spring. That is when food is most plentiful. It is when the weather is the most acceptable for baby birds. Are delicate, man. They're delicate little beings. They have to have the perfect combination of climate and food and nurture, etc. And that's easiest in the spring. So I believe most birds are born in the spring.
According to nestingcycle.com, or is it nestwatch.com? It's .org. I'm sorry. It depends on the bird, and birds are territorial, so they may have them in the spring, or they may have them in the summer. They may have them in the winter. It just depends on where you are.
Fair enough. I'm not an ornithologist. I don't know.
Listen, Rob and I are not the only people who do this. Chris does this too. Now that everyone has a computer in the palm of their hands, if you've ever wondered, where did that phrase come from? Look it up, because it's all usually something interesting, or it's because of Shakespeare.
The wife absolutely despises the fact that I can't hear about a thing without immediately going to Wikipedia to learn about it. She's all in right now on, I'm a big space dork, outer space dork. And I'm really stoked because I don't know how she got here, but she is burning through like NASA documentaries right now. There is one on Amazon Prime, on Prime Video, I think, that is a series of NASA documentaries, but over the years. So like the one she watched the other day was like a documentary on the Gemini program, but it was made during the Gemini program. So it's like she's watching a documentary from like the 70s that they cleaned up for TV today, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm all in. I'm really excited that she is really excited about this stuff. But as we watch through this stuff, anytime that they mention anything, like for instance, one of the Skylab mission. Skylab was our first in-space space station. It was just nothing but a floating
when
laboratory.
it was going to fall, it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. So when Skylab...
We were all curious if it was going to land on our heads. I was a little kid, so I mean, you know.
When we were sending up astronauts on Saturn 1s to go to Skylab, they would obviously come back down in a landing capsule, and it would land in the Pacific off the coast of Carolina, or off the coast of California, and they would send naval vessels out there to go recover the capsule and the astronauts. And yesterday, I found out that one of the ships that they would send out was the USS New Orleans, which is a New Orleans guy. I'm like, oh, that's interesting that there's a ship named after my city. Let me go learn about it. I ended up reading like 25 minutes of the history of the USS New Orleans, which was involved in the Battle of the Coral Sea and the Battle of Leyte and all these other like consequential World War II battles at sea, before ultimately it got decommissioned and it got sold for scrap metal. And there's nothing of this ship remaining. It got basically broken down for parts. The bell is in Baton Rouge. There's a couple of like plaques that are in different places. There's actually one of the plaques is at the Patriot Point Museum in Charleston, but the ship doesn't exist anymore. But then I found out that it was a ship of the Pensacola class cruisers. I'm like, yo, they named an entire class of ship after another place that I lived, Pensacola, Florida. So then I spent about 60 minutes last night reading about Pensacola class cruisers, including the USS Pensacola. Didn't know there was a ship named after that. I'm all the way in on a YouTube rabbit or on a Wikipedia rabbit hole every now and then. Learn stuff, man. It's awesome. All right. Let's you know what? I want to get to this real quick. I probably shouldn't, but the Rob Brown Sports Show is an all the sports show. So we're going to talk about all the sports. Let's do that. I mentioned earlier in the water cooler cheat sheet that Inter Miami, the MLS squad out of, and this may shock you, Miami, featuring Leo Messi, has made it out of the group stage of the FIFA Club World Cup. The best clubs from around the world have descended upon these United States and are playing games in NFL and major stadiums around the continental United States. They've had a couple in Atlanta. There's a couple coming up in Charlotte. I'm going to try to get up there for one or two, depending on which teams are playing when, et cetera, et cetera. Big event. And Miami is the only MLS team that made it out of the group stage. And that is, frankly, quite embarrassing. Now, only 16 teams get by. There are 32 teams out there. Half the teams got eliminated in the group phase as 2 of every group move on. There are obviously 8 groups. So, Miami moves on, and since they have moved on, Inter Miami has collected $21.5 million in prize money. They get $10 million just for qualifying and making the field for the FIFA Club World Cup. They got $4 million for their group stage win and 2 draws. They got $7.5 million for making it to the round of 16. They will receive more prize money for any and everything that they accomplish past this point. Now, I am going to keep it a buck. While Inter Miami is a good side, they unfortunately ran into a nasty reality. They draw Paris Saint-Germain in the first game of the knockout round. That might be the best domestic club on planet Earth. Drawing PSG as your knockout round opponent is like the worst reward they could have gotten. It literally would have been better off to get any of the other 14 teams that moved on. But we're not talking soccer. I'm talking about a concept that I mentioned in the water cooler cheat sheet. $7.5 million for making the round of 16, $4 million for the win and 2 draws, $10 million for qualifying for the tournament. That is good for $21.5 million. That is the financial equivalent of winning 71 MLS championships. 70. They would have to win the Major League Soccer Championship 71 times to get the same financial compensation that they just got for making this tournament, drawing twice, winning once, and advancing out of the group play. 71 Major League Soccer championships. Why is this important? Why is this relevant? It is relevant because how in the hell do you expect us to keep up? How in the hell do you expect us to, in a country of 330 plus million people, in a country that our population dwarfs the population of Switzerland, but their team is better than us, is dramatically higher than Germany, than France, than England, than Scotland, than Ireland, and yet all of them are better than us. How can we compete when I'm not saying Miami is the best club abroad or domestically. I am saying they're the only domestic club, the only American club that made it into the knockout race, or knockout round, so there's something to it. How can we compete when our Premier League would hand out the prize money that Inter Miami made for qualifying and then playing 3 games? We would hand out that money if they won the league 71 consecutive times after those 71 years. We can't. We can't. This is why, as big of a net head as I am, as big of a soccer fan as I am, as much as I want to succeed, and as much as I believe that the only thing keeping this country from embracing soccer, it's not those of you out there that are American football fans who talk junk about soccer and you believe that you have the power to prevent soccer from becoming a powerhouse sport in this country. It's not you. You want to think it's you. It's not you. It's not you talking about soccer or talking negatively about soccer. What is preventing us from getting there is very simply the fact that we do not treat it seriously like the rest of the world does. It is just a thing we do. And how do we change that? Well, you start with this. Number one, you've got to figure out how to build a competitive league. I have made the prediction once already. I will reestablish the prediction here. We've mentioned it before. USL, the United Soccer League, is the second biggest professional soccer outlet in the United States. It is second only to MLS. It is the MLS's direct competitor, but it is, as much as I love it, it's the USFL to the NFL. It just doesn't have the resources yet. However, the USL is doing what Major League Soccer has refused to do forever. They have just decided a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, I guess I should say, they have decided to embrace a system called promotion relegation. There will be 5 levels of USL soccer across the United States. If your team is one of the best, depending on level, 1, 2, or 3 teams in your level of USL play, you will go up a league the next year. If you are one of the bottom 1, 2, or 3 teams, you will go down a level. If you move up a level, there is obviously more available to you in terms of resources, broadcasting and revenue rights, sponsorship money available, etc., etc. And to me, this might very well be, though I could see it being potentially decades in the distance, this decision by USL could be what makes us competitive on the international scale. Why? Because unlike the MLS, which can only attract European players in the back half of their career, Latin American, South American, Central American, Africa's best in the downslope of their career, because you don't come here to grow. You don't come here to get better. You don't come here to learn. You come here to make money by doing something that you already do. You go to Europe to be better. You go to Europe to develop. This is why our best players, Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, et cetera, they're all in Europe. Because that's where you go to get better. The USL, by adopting promotion relegation, has created a world that no other professional American sport has right now. They have created a world where owners, those who make the decisions and control the dollar bills, y'all, they have created a world where owners are punished or rewarded for generating a world in which their team succeeds. They have generated a world where owners are punished or rewarded for generating circumstances where their team wins or loses. In Major League Baseball, do you know what Reinsdorf's punishment is for creating a Chicago White Sox team that stinks? He gets TV revenue and merch splits. He faces no punishment. Do you know what John Fisher, the owner of the not Oakland Athletics, do you know what his punishment is for intentionally major leaguing that team and making them stink? His punishment is Major League Baseball is letting him move that team to Las Vegas, and he's going to sell it for $1 gazillion, and he's going to stack that bank account fat. Do you know what the punishment for the Haslams is in the National Football League? For allowing the Cleveland Browns to be ass for my whole life? There's not a punishment for that. They are going to continue to make tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and one day they will sell that team for billions. In every other professional sport, there is no punishment on those who own and run the team if they just let the team stink. Never win anything, never accomplish anything, never make the playoffs, hell, never get better. There's no reward or punishment for it. The USL is going to be the one place where there is a reward for making your team good, for investing in it, for financially boosting it, for signing the best players, for finding great coaches, for finding young talent and developing them within your culture, for growing young coaches who grow up and change the game. There's a reward for that. I've already said it. Greenville's first professional, high-level professional sports team is already here. It's the Greenville Triumph because I believe in the ownership of that team. Joe Irwin wants that team to be great. Doug and Chris want this team to be great. I have conversations with these guys as beer buddies. They are brutally honest with me about the direction of the team. When they're happy with it, when they're unhappy with it, decisions they've made that they love, decisions they've made they regret. They want this team to be great. They bust their ass to make that team great. And with the USL going pro-rel, if they do make this team great, they are rewarded. They will take it from USL 1 up to Champions League. And then ultimately, if they continue to do that, up to whatever the highest level of the USL is ultimately called. They will be rewarded. No other sport is. This decision that was made a few weeks ago is going to change what we are seeing here. A world where Leo Messi and Luis Suarez were just $21.5 million, 71 times the payout of an MLS championship for 4 games. Well, for a bunch of games to qualify, and then for 3 games and to make it to the 4th. 71 championship paychecks they made for that. We can't be taken seriously, and therefore will never be on the contending side of international footy. If that's our reality, I'm praying as a soccer fan the USL is going to change that with pro-rel. All right, actual American football when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I sent you something on Twitter that you might be interested in if you haven't seen it yet. Did you look at it? Did you look at it?
Don't go anywhere, please. I got asked this question on the BetMGM network last Tuesday. Last Friday. I was on with Ryan Horvat, and Horvy's a big college football guy. Anytime I am on with Ryan Horvat, we talk college football. Doesn't matter what day, week, or month it is. So we were talking about college football. We had on ESPN's Adam Rittenberg, phenomenal reporter. And we were kind of throwing some postseason futures bets out there. Effectively, who will win what and accomplish what statistical feats throughout the year. And one of the questions that got posed to me was, is there anyone in the ACC capable of taking that championship away from the Clemson Tigers this year? My answer was, no, there's not. Not this year. There's some interesting things on the horizon right now. For some reason, and I don't know what it is, and again, I don't particularly care because this is an abomination. This is blasphemy in my world. I really don't care about recruiting. I know it's the lifeblood. I know it's the most important thing. And I know with the failure of Florida State last year, it is being made to look even more important because Florida State has proven that, yes, you can win in the transfer portal, but they've also proven that you can see your program decimated in the transfer portal.
At the same time, it's made recruiting lesser because of the transfer portal.
I disagree with that entirely. And I disagree with that because of Florida State. Florida State effectively, not for certain, but effectively did away with high school recruiting for almost 2 years. They were doing it, but they went after the biggest names. They didn't really toy with everything else, and then they just brought a bunch of bros together from the rest of the country. And 2 years ago, with Johnny Wilson and with Jordan Travis and Trey Benson, they put together a 13-0 Power 4 conference champion undefeated team. Didn't get invited into the playoffs because of it, but they did get there. Last year, they tried to run it back. They went 2-10. It was, and I am confident saying this, the most embarrassing year for any power conference football team in maybe ever years. Maybe ever. So I do think.
All right. So Ohio State's been labeled as the team that bought a championship because of all the transfer players they had. I was looking it up because I was curious. Oregon had a ton of transfer players. So did Alabama, Texas A&M, Florida. So there are teams that brought in a bunch of guys and it worked.
I am not saying.
It just didn't work at Florida State.
I am not saying.
I believe that it's lessened recruiting because I don't think you need to recruit as hard as you did before. You can bring guys in, but you wait till their second or third year somewhere else, and now you can pay them. You bring them over, and I think it's happening more and more. And we've talked about this before. Recruiting used to be a holiday. Used to be nonstop on ESPN or whatever channel. Nothing but announcements of what kid is going where. That doesn't happen anymore because it's lessened, and it's lessened a great deal. There are still those people out there. That's what they live for, and those are mostly college football fans of certain teams, and looking at all the local high schools and trying to see what recruits going where. But it's not nearly what it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago when it was a holiday. It's not that anymore, and I think more and more it's going to move to the transfer portal model. He's still going to have to recruit, but it's not going to be like it was before.
Okay, let me address a couple of different points out of that. Number one, the recruiting coverage, because I used to do National Signing Day remotes back in the day. They used to send me to bars on National Signing Day, and I would quite literally be live at bars from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. I'd be in bars for 14 hours on that day doing morning show live, evening show live, and constant updates throughout the day. That started dropping off well before NIL and the portal became a thing. And that started dropping off not because of NIL and the portal. That started dropping off because we added more signing days. It started to get spread out. Kids were making commitments outside of signing day. Basically, it used to be that every kid signed their scholarship all on the same day. Now, it's not even kind of that anymore. We had Clemson getting kids that were announcing this past Monday, right? I'm going to keep it a buck with you. This is probably going to be a bad look for me. But I also don't think I am alone in this. I have no idea what the recruiting schedule is anymore. I know there's windows and blackout periods and no contact periods and certain periods on the calendar that people can and can't sign or whatever, but I have zero idea what the schedule is. Clemson had a cat sign this week. Big-time recruit sign earlier this week. So signing day fell out, and the coverage of signing day fell out, not because of NIL in the portal. Signing day fell out because it used to be every kid signed this day. So your recruiting class was going to add 30 kids today. So, of course, we were in on that. Now, it's like they're signing a new kid every other day. So you can't, I can't do that anymore. Now, as far as the concept of the recruiting being killed off by the portal, I'm not saying that is a non-factor. What I'm saying is, first and foremost, it is only a factor for the biggest of the schools. It's a factor for you as an Ohio State fan, sure. That's because your team can throw around $55 million in NIL money. You think it's that way at Vanderbilt? Think it's that way at NC State, North Carolina? No, of course it's not, because they don't have that power. That angle is only an angle that matters to the biggest of the big schools. So that is very much in play. And while Florida State historically is one of the biggest of the big schools, I would also argue that Florida State now serves as a cautionary tale. I'm gonna switch to a different sport for just a second, but stick with me. It's for a reason. I have been, for the past couple of days, heaping flowers upon the Florida Panthers, who just won the NHL Stanley Cup for the second year in a row. And I have been saying the Florida Panthers are the professional sporting outfit that your favorite professional sporting outfit should strive to be. Why? I'm going to say their model is something that a lot of schools moving forward should be looking forward to doing, replicating, emulating at the college level. What did the Panthers do? They said, here's our culture, here's how we play. It's like that Sam Bennett clip I played for you yesterday, when he grabbed the mic at the victory parade and said, a lot of people say they don't like how we play. A lot of people say we're bullies and we're this and we're that. And I'd like to take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody. We're the double champs. We do what we want. How did they get there? They got there because they established their identity and their culture. They started growing kids from college draft picks that they brought in to play their style of hockey, to buy all the way into their system, and to execute that style of hockey. And then they fill in the blanks by going to get Sergei Bobrovsky. They fill in the blanks by going to get Brad Marchand. They fill in the blanks to go get players who already play that style of hockey, and they go, yeah, you play that style, but you're playing it in Boston. That's not their thing. You're playing it in Calgary, Matthew Tkachuk. That's not your thing. Your thing is our culture. So come be the best you can be here. And those guys have flourished in that. I think college football is kind of going to be the same thing. I think I think Florida State's the cautionary tale. I think you want to get as many kids into your program that buy into your culture and your way of doing things and raise them in the program to execute that. And then you fill in the blanks with the transfer portal. Because transfer portal guys, you like to think that they are going to just show up and be the guy you got out of the portal to be the guy. But if they're not bought in, as Florida State learned last year, and they are only there because you have a brand they can profit off of, as Florida State learned last year, you are not going to get the best football out of them, as Florida State learned last year. So when I look at that program, and I look at the fact that over the past 2 days, FSU signed like 4 ESPN top 100 players. They signed a 4-star quarterback who was like the 6th best in next year's class. They just signed a tight end who's the 2nd or 3rd best in next year's class. Their class right now for next year is a top 10 class, maybe top 5 class already. So I think Florida State might be on the bounce back path. Now, if they go 2-10 this year, they'll lose all that and it won't matter. And I told Adam Rittenberg, I think there's only one team that matters in the ACC outside of Clemson, and that's Miami. But after that Georgia Tech debacle last year, where they're out there trying to run the ball instead of just take a knee and run out the clock, and they fumble it and lose to the Ramblin' Wreck.
I love how you give North Carolina no chance at all.
None. They have no talent. They have zero talent. None. They're not. They don't have
The last
Amari
few
Hampton.
years, I think you've been high on either North Carolina or North Carolina State, or maybe both.
Correct.
It's just like a certain coach came in and then suddenly you don't.
No,
care
it's
for
because
it.
a certain running back and quarterback went out. It's because they lost the two guys in Drake May and Amari Hampton that quite literally carried them to the success they had. They don't have anybody on that level anymore. It's nothing to do with Bill Belichick. Zero. I know you want to think this is just a Belichick hate train. It's not. I don't give a damn. Their team is objectively not talented.
By the way,
Objectively.
I'm not a big fan of Belichick either, so don't paint that love over here. I think it's you discount them right away, and it's college football.
No.
Players move on, you get new players. That's how that works.
I
so.
agree. And yet, we have ways, not always correct, but we have ways of looking at a team and going, that's not a good football
I
team.
want the model to succeed. You want it to fail. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I
what
don't
happens.
care if the model succeeds or fails. It doesn't matter to me. All that matters is what the results are. And if the model succeeds, then other teams emulate it. And if it fails, then they don't. I don't care if it succeeds or it fails. I just don't think they're a good football team. But we'll find out. I think Miami's the only team that can compete. And I have zero faith in the Miami coaching staff to be able to keep up with Dabo Swinney. So, no. Clemson, congrats on your 2025 ACC title and your playoff spot. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I couldn't find it. I'm not going to play two different beds. My bad.
That's fine. I heard the guitar fading into the distance. Oh, come on.
Oh, there it is. Too late.
James, what's up, buddy? Good morning. Welcome in. Good to have you, as always.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. Coming out of Spartanburg, southbound 85 slows to 23 miles an hour for 6 miles between Highway 101 and Pelham Road. Northbound 85 between I-385 and Pelham, it's 3 miles at 20 miles an hour. Before that, from Highway 81 to 178 Anderson, it's 25 miles an hour for about 3 miles. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
The big focus in America today is on your health, and more people are looking beyond pills and steroids and surgery. Hey, it's Charlie James for QC Kinetics. At QC Kinetics, they've been on the cutting edge of this medical revolution since 2018. Using regenerative medicine, they've helped tens of thousands of people get lasting joint pain relief using natural treatments that harness your body's own healing power. The truth is, regenerative medicine used to be an alternative treatment, but now it's mainstream. Their well-respected protocols include potent and powerful cellular-level treatments to revitalize and restore damaged joint tissue. They're not masking the pain. They're going after the very source of it. Yes, you can say goodbye to that chronic pain and live your best life. Learn more about this revolutionary treatment and get a free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Nashville. 864-448-3772. QC Kinetics.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. But not every
You ever played dominoes before?
Yes, when I was a kid with my grandfather, and not since.
I see people playing it all the time, and I've never played it before.
I couldn't for $100 remember how to play dominoes. I haven't played in legitimately probably 30 years. It's never been on the radar since my grandfather passed.
I also keep seeing backgammon, which I knew how to play when I was a kid, but I don't think I could remember how to play it now.
No, I don't think I ever played backgammon.
Whereas chess or checkers, even though I haven't played them in forever, I still could just jump right in and play. And Twister, I could just jump right in and play Twister. I wouldn't advise doing it with me, though, because leg gives out. You might get crushed, but, you know.
Then I win.
Do you?
Yeah. If you go down, I win, even if you take me down in the process. Hey, I just got an offer for a free chicken sandwich from Popeyes, so I know what I'm doing for lunch. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Up State. I have kind of been on about a bunch of stuff today, and one of the things we talked about earlier was the NBA Finals. We talked about the NBA postseason. We talked about the injuries and the fact that I thought that the NBA's postseason this year was absolutely compelling. I thought it was fantastic. And I include in that discussion the NBA Finals. I thought the NBA Finals were fantastic. I think they were one of the best NBA Finals we have had in a very long time. And I thought that America would feel the same way. But all of my complaints about the NBA makes it impossible for small markets to stay competitive, to compete, I think are proven by a set of numbers that Lonzo sent me during the break. According to NBA.com, take it with a grain of salt, but these are things that these leagues have to be very hesitant about not telling the truth because they will be cooked if they do not. The NBA put out a statement that said that Game 7 of the 2025 NBA Finals was the most watched NBA Finals game in 6 years. They claim it averaged 16.4 million viewers on ABC, with a peak audience at 9:45 p.m. Eastern of 19.3 million viewers. The 7-game series saw the Thunder win their first NBA title, accounted for the 7 most watched primetime television programs over the past 2 months, according to the NBA. The full 2025 NBA postseason, including the playoffs and the finals, across ABC and ESPN, averaged 6.12 million viewers per game. That is up 10% from last year. The NBA also says in their statement that they generated 5 billion views and counting across all social media platforms during the NBA Finals, up 215% from last year. Now, I don't really care about that number, because I think even in this industry, as important as social media has been the past few years, I think over the last year, they pretty much got to the point where social media is the driving thing now. Like for most of us, we are constantly being told you have to be active on social media. It is no longer a request; it is now a requirement that you be putting up, clips and reels and videos and shorts and posts and yada, yada, yada. So I'm not really worried about the social media number. What I think is interesting, though, is the claim from the NBA that the postseason at large was up 10% from last year. And I am unsurprised by that number because, as I have pointed out, this NBA postseason was very good. I think every level, every round of this postseason was very good. The NBA Finals, however, at large, was not up. The NBA Finals was down. In fact, from 1 to 7 was one of the least watched NBA Finals of the last 10 years. Now, some of y'all, including Dewey, who just texted the show and said, Rob, what NBA Finals did you watch? They sucked, pure garbage, especially Game 7. Dewey, you're wrong, bud. Respectfully, you're just wrong. And I'd like to know what made you say that. Like, genuinely, I'm asking you to reply to my reply to your reply and tell me what makes you feel that way. Because I absolutely and entirely disagree with you from top to bottom. Game 1 between Indiana and Oklahoma City was fantastic. Game 2 was a blowout, but again, it was a 1-1 series. Game 3, back in Indy, phenomenal basketball game. Game 4, phenomenal basketball game. Game 5, maybe not as much. Game 6, a little questionable, still a good game. Game 7, Tyrese Halliburton. Until the end of the fourth quarter, even Game 7 was good. Indy, without Tyrese Halliburton, was winning that game at the half.
All right. For me, this was some of the better finals that I've seen in a while. This is the first finals that I've watched nearly all to most of every game in a few years. And because what we've talked about a couple of times, it's two teams playing each other. And it's not some star that I don't like or some star that I'm rooting for. And it's okay to be a star guy and root for your guy. And if they're not there, I don't hate either one of these teams. And I thought it was really good because there was coming into it, OKC's going to sweep or get a gentleman's sweep. That's what a lot of the experts were saying. That's not what happened. It went to 7 games, and it was compelling. And if Halliburton hadn't gone down, I think it would at least have been competitive and maybe gone down to the wire.
I think the NBA was spectacular. I thought the postseason was great. I thought the championship was great for all the reasons Lonzo just said and more. I thought it was a phenomenal postseason. I am also unsurprised that the finals ratings as a whole were down. And I absolutely blame it on. And I got accused. The reason I've kind of been making the joke the last couple of days of allow me to make a victim out of myself is because one of our listeners to the Saturday show a few days ago on Twitter said that I am incapable of talking about sports without making myself out to be a victim, which I totally disagree with, except for the Saints' pass interference in the Super Bowl, the fact that the NBA refuses to let small market teams succeed, and the fact that the Braves are the biggest letdown of my sports life, except for the pass interference against the Saints. Here's the problem I think you bump into, and the reason that these NBA finals were down until Game 7. They were up for Game 7 because it was a Game 7. Any Game 7 is going to see an increased viewership. NHL, MLB, NBA, any Game 7 is going to be viewed more than any Game 6, even if Game 6 is an elimination game. It just is. Any game where both teams can become a champion, any game where both teams can see their season end without being named champion is just inherently going to have more eyeballs on it. There is more drama. Here's the thing, and I believe this to my core. Because of the fact that the NBA does not embrace small market squads, there's no drama around it. They embrace superstars more than they embrace good teams. And therefore, the only drama, because, again, Americans love drama. The only drama that there is drama that surrounds superstars. What was the drama of the Golden State Warriors coming into this postseason? Is this the end of the dynasty? Klay's gone. Draymond's losing it. Steph has to do a lot of it by himself. And, oh, by the way, he's kind of banged up because he's 40. The drama around Golden State, the reason people were compelled to watch that basketball team wasn't because they were a dominant dynasty looking to, extend. The reason people were in on Golden State was because it felt like they were losing the dynasty. And this was their opportunity to continue the dynasty, or the proof and evidence that the dynasty was over. And the reign of terror of Golden State was coming to a conclusion. We weren't watching because they play great basketball. We were watching because we were about to find out if Steph and Draymond were going to be terrorizing us for yet another run, or if that dynasty is dead. And the minute Steph went down with that injury, missed some time, and got bounced from the playoffs, a lot of people left with him. Why? Because they hype it. The Minnesota Timberwolves, a good basketball team, but a basketball team that I told you coming into the playoffs I thought was overhyped. Good team, but I think they're overhyped. Ant-Man is one of the best players on planet Earth, no doubt about it, but they're overhyped. They don't have a big man. They don't really have the big-time shooting threat on the outside. They have Ant-Man, one of the best players. You've got to have two of three things: a dominant inside man, an ace shooter from the outside, and a scoring threat. You got to have two of those three to be a championship team. Indiana had an ace shooter, Pascal Siakam, and a dominant outside threat, Tyrese Halliburton. They didn't have a dominant. I would say the exact same is probably true for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And let's be real, there aren't a ton of dominant big guys anymore, right? The teams that have one are few and far between. So, with that being said, I am unsurprised that the NBA Finals as a series did not have tremendous ratings. And I blame it, and I think the NBA has no chance but to blame it on the NBA. This is why, for a very long time, I have been making the argument that the dumbest thing that the NBA is doing right now is not embracing the narrative that small markets can be dramatic, that small markets can succeed, that small markets should absolutely be celebrated the same way big ones are. This is why earlier this week, late last week and earlier this week, I said, I know it's kind of a cliche talking point that the NBA doesn't have the big trophy sticker on the floor. And it almost sounds like that's just kind of a conversation to have to kill a segment. But I also said it's not. It actually is a big deal. It's a big deal because it just shows me that the NBA, and I do blame a lot of this on the presentation from ESPN. We talked about that too. I blame it on the fact that the NBA does not care because it wasn't LA, it wasn't Boston, it wasn't New York, it wasn't Dallas, and it wasn't Chicago, 5 biggest networks in America, that for them it was like, all right, let's just get through this and let's get to the offseason. Let's get back to Kevin Durant and whether he's going to be traded. Let's get back to LeBron James and whether he's going to retire. Let's get back to Luka Doncic and whether or not he can be the face of the Lakers when LeBron retires. Let's get back to star, not celebrating the best two teams in the game. That's it. That's it. And because of that, when you don't treat your product as if your product is the biggest thing going on in the world of sports, in what world should your fans? People get mad at me all the time. The people in my life, my mother, my wife, etc. They get mad at me all the time because I have a very self-deprecating sense of humor. Nobody rips on Rob Brown more than Rob Brown rips on Rob Brown.
I didn't notice that.
I am the absolute best at calling myself the absolute worst. Drives my mom up a wall. She's like, you got to stop doing that. I'm like, I'm not. It makes me laugh, right? But I also make sure to point out that Lonzo and I are the three-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. We will remain three-time for one more year. We're coming for blood next year. But I also say very frequently, I'm pretty good at this job. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. That's just how this job works. You are not behind the mic if you're not pretty good on a mic. So I'm pretty good at it, and I know that. And I've got some level of confidence in that. So I treat the show as if the show is a big deal, and you should be entertained and want to listen to it, because if I don't, why the hell would y'all? Same thing is true about the NBA. If they are just rolling out a lackluster pregame show, a lackluster halftime show, if they don't have the big trophy decal at the 50, if they don't have all the celebration that makes the NBA Finals feel like it's a big deal to the NBA, then why should any fans think it feels like a big deal? That's kind of my point here. And when the NBA treated it, as I said a week ago that they were, like these are just the best Tuesday night games on TNT in March, then why are you shocked that they are getting ratings that look like the ratings of the best Tuesday night game on TNT in March? And more importantly, will you learn your lesson? Will you learn the lesson that, well, we treated this like a cast-off set of games, so America watched them like they are a cast-off set of games, and then once the drama unfolded with Tyrese and SGA and two good teams and a Game 7, oh, would you look at that? Everybody watched it. When it got intense and everybody went, oh, these are pretty good teams, everybody watched. 6.12 million viewers per game in the postseason, 19.3 million viewers for a Game 7. Will they learn the lesson and say, hey, treat small market teams like they're good and treat the NBA Finals like the absolute pageant that it should be? I hope they do. But if they don't be shocked when this exact same thing happens next year, unless LeBron's back. Hey, you know who's back? Lonzo with the Sports Flash.
You know who else is back? The Atlanta Braves knocked off the New York Mets for the fourth consecutive time with a 3-2 victory last night. Spencer Schwellenbach went 7 innings with just 4 hits, 2 runs, and 4 strikeouts. The Atlanta offense recorded 9 hits, including Ronald Acuna Jr.'s 9th home run of the year, and RBIs from Sean Murphy and Michael Harris II. The NBA offseason trades are heating up as the Boston Celtics are sending Drew Holiday to the Trailblazers for Anthony Simmons and 2 second-round picks. The deal drops Boston's luxury tax by $40 million as Simmons' contract is expiring, and Holiday is owed $72 million over the next 2 years. It's a lot. Arizona Diamondback star Corbin Carroll will miss time with fractured left wrist. Carroll was hit by a pitch in last Wednesday's loss to the Blue Jays. Carroll was last year's Rookie of the Year and NL All-Star. Hour number 4, Rob Brown Show, coming up. Yeah, I got this shirt while we were at the beach at the 70s and 80s store. I forget the name of it, but it's Nostalgia or something like that. Always get a shirt from there when I go there. And the movie was wild, especially watching it as a kid. And then going back and watching it later. Just the whole premise of the whole thing. And Can You Dig It is still used even now. I mean, Shaq uses it all the time. I mean, come on. The DJ was telling people where the Warriors were so the other gangs could go get them. And then at the end, the DJ apologizes. She apologizes to the Warriors, even though they had to fight their whole way back to Coney Island. Exactly.
Come out to
and the baseball dudes were just freaky. And there's a gang on skates. I mean, you know, there's nothing more 70s than that. And the gangs could have controlled everything. But then, you know, there's always that one guy who doesn't see the vision. Then of course the woman gang that wasn't really into women, was into women and not into guys, but they were setting them up so they could. I'm surprised they have they remade that? I don't know.
What?
The Warriors.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, they
made a Red Dawn.
Yeah, which was not as good. You could make a gang movie like that again. Absolutely, you could. But instead of using the radio DJ to tell everyone where they are, they just use social media. The gangs would have to be different, though, because there would definitely be a gang of furries.
Automatically the bad guys.
There would definitely be a gang of furries.
The furries could be like, peace and equality for all. And I'd be like, get them!
The Warriors are almost there, almost to the subway, and then you see one furry. Then you see two furries.
Speaking of Reddit, I bumped into a furry on Reddit a couple of weeks ago. And I was like having a pleasant conversation with him in a subreddit, and then I checked his profile, and he was all in on it, and I immediately was like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Jonick, damn it. I just came back from vacation. What do you expect? Nobody's perfect,
You
right?
did not come back from vacation. What are you talking about?
Just came back from vacation.
Maybe in your head. You probably need one today, though.
You don't even know.
Dude, we're almost done. We're in the final hour.
We are.
You've done a fine job holding the anger down. And I've done a fine job not fueling it like I absolutely could if I wanted to.
Thank you so much. You're ever so kind for doing just that. Hey, we've been talking some NBA basketball. Here in just a second, we are going to be joined by our NBA expert from the BetMGM network, Hayden Ass Mario, who for reasons that will be made more clear to all of you later on in the week, had to shift his appearance on the radio program up a couple of days. So we will get Hayden Ass Mario up here in just a moment from right now and chat with him a little bit about the NBA Finals, what he saw, what he expects to see moving forward. Maybe we'll get in to a little conversation about the Kevin Durant trade. We will obviously talk about his Indiana Pacers and the success that they had in the NBA Finals despite not ultimately being named the NBA champions. Joining us now on the radio program, a young man who is the executive producer of BetMGM Tonight, friend of the show, friend on and off the air, ladies and gentlemen, Mario Heron, a.k.a. Hayden Ass Mario, joining us here on the show. What's up, big fella?
What is up? Good morning to all. Good morning to America. Good morning to you, Rob Brown. How are we doing this morning?
I am fantastic.
So I don't get nothing? I don't get, so I guess
and
I am
the most beautiful person ever, Alonzo. Good morning.
Thank you. I guess I am a part of America, but, I want a little bit of something.
What's the shirt today? The Warriors?
You've never.
He doesn't know.
There's no.
You're wasting your time.
Actually, you should watch it, though. It was a movie out in the 70s. And if you've ever heard Shaq say, "Can you dig it?" It's from this movie. So,
got it.
I mean, you won't watch it, but you should. You might be freaked out by it, though.
It's a great movie. Great. It's an old person movie, Mario. I know you don't do old people stuff.
So we were not old. I was not old when I watched it. I was a kid.
I was not born when you watched it. You sound this AM, Mario, very chipper for a young man who just watched his NBA team lose the championship in Game 7. I'm going to take a stab in the dark and simply say it's because with Tyrese Halliburton going down 6 minutes into that Game 7, and with the fact that there was a Game 7 in a series where everybody who's not me said it was going to be over in 5 or 6 at maximum, I got to assume this is just the result of the old, I'm super proud of the boys and how they performed and where they got to, yada, yada, yada.
Absolutely. I mean, this team didn't have any expectations to make it this far, to be just one game away from an NBA championship. That wasn't at all what was on the radar for this organization. And they go on this miraculous run. They take out the Giants. They take out the New York Knicks again, which is just absolutely amazing. If we keep that trend up for the rest of my life, I would love it. We're on track to. they go to the Thunder, who just walk through the West, besides their battle with the Nuggets, but they have Jokic, so that's understandable. And you take them to 7, and your best player is not really healthy. Even when Tyrese goes out, they put up a very good fight. Like, they really stuck into that game, and then the fourth quarter hits, and one team is just a lot better than the other at the end of the day. And you're missing, once again, probably the best point guard in the league, or one of the best. So I'm happy for the season. I'm happy for the memories. Yes, Achilles is a tough one for Tyrese Halliburton, but I think on the flip side of that is I was hearing yesterday, and I don't know why, but it kind of sent me there. Like, Kevin Durant said when he tore his, he didn't feel like himself for like 2 years. How long is it going to take for Tyrese to feel himself? And in my mind, I go, yeah, well, the difference between that is Tyrese is like 6-7 years younger than Durant, and like when that happened. So I think just a younger guy is probably going to bounce back a little bit better than a guy that's a little bit older that suffers this injury. It's going to be wild, but I fully expect Tyrese to be back and to be just as good as he is. And look, this team is, just kind of steal the words from SGA's mouth a little bit about the Thunder. The Pacers have a lot of guys that are not even in their prime yet. And I think that's a pretty good feeling for this organization. If they keep making the right moves, they're going to stay in contention for the title for a very long time.
I don't disagree with you, but Tyrese being out for next year is a big problem because while they don't have a lot of guys in their prime, 2 years from now when he comes back, unless they have the room to sign a replacement, which, let's be real, I don't know if you do. I don't know if anybody does, to have Tyrese's contract still on and add another one, Giannis or not Kevin Durant, but anybody else to kind of replace those points and those assists. The problem is by the time that Tyrese comes back, a lot of these cats that make up the core of this team are going to be on expiring contracts, are going to be on their way out, are going to be free agents, are going to be retiring, stepping away from the league, whatever. I mean it when I say that for all the crap I've given you because it makes me laugh. I'm genuinely heartbroken for Indiana, not for losing the finals. It's going to happen. Somebody's got to lose every championship series. It's the fact that you lost the finals and you lost Tyrese and you lost him for next year. And that also means that by the time he comes back in 2026, over a year and a half from now, a lot of that core of that team is either going to be aged or moved on or on contracts that you can't afford anymore. It feels to me like the legacy of this finals is going to be it derailed a dynasty before that dynasty could even get started.
So the way I kind of see that too, to kind of rebuttal, if you did it once, you can do it again. Right? Like if you built this, team, and think about as well, a guy that hasn't played a lot and was actually hurt during this finals run that the Pacers are still like extremely high on is Walker out of Houston. He's a guy that can be a very good 3-and-D guy going forward. Nembhard took a while. Like Nembhard's fantastic now, but dude, he took a while to kind of get comfortable in the NBA and kind of find his identity and find his role. So they still have guys that are coming in that they're still waiting to develop. Naismith was a great find that they had. Will he probably get a bigger offer once his contract's up? Probably. Will Nembhard get one? Yeah, but I think he's going to stay in Indiana. Turner's going to be older, so what are you going to do with him? That's a very good question. You can always find a backup 5. They did that very well this past offseason. They can do that again. Bennedict Mathurin will be the biggest question mark, I think, going forward of, hey, what do we kind of do with this guy? He's got still just such a high-end potential. But boy, is he just not smart with the basketball a lot of the time. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. But this is an organization, man. They draft well. They know what they want. They know what type of player fits their identity, and they go and get them. So if smart organizations make smart moves, and that's why I still trust them going forward. And I think if you still have Tyrese Halliburton, you still have a chance. And I think as long as he's a Pacer, they're going to be fine. And that's where I kind of feel with them. For the Eastern Conference next year, Rob, it screams out to me, if I'm Giannis, I'm staying in Milwaukee because I can roll the dice and at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals with how weak everyone is. And if I'm a New York Knicks fan, if you don't win the East next year, you will never, ever, 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 ever win it in your life. You will never win it. It has never been more weak. It has never been more disgustingly bad than it will be next year.
I don't disagree. I would also go so far as to say I have A couple of points of optimism for the NBA moving forward, and I have one big fear, and that one big fear is with the East being as open as it next year, and a lot of it is because a lot of the teams in the East feel like they're going to be thin. We don't know that Jason Tatum's coming back next year after his ACL. We don't know that, you say Giannis stay in Milwaukee. I don't disagree, except for we don't know that Dame is going to be, and Dame's older. Dame ain't a spring chicken like some of the other guys. It's probably going to take him even longer than it will Tyrese to get himself back. I don't know that the Bucks are back into this thing. I'm almost kind of afraid we're going to end up with a return to the super team era because somebody's going to look and go, if we super team in the East right now, we're cruising to a finals next year.
I think we almost missed that boat on that, no? Because, that was the whole thing with this Durant trade. He could have had a chance to go to the East. The Heat, in the most classic Heat fashion, just put together such a awful trade package, and we're like, you should take this. And why would we ever consider this a day in our lives? They're like the Lakers fan account that would always post the trade, who says no to this? And it's every person on this planet except you or any other Laker fan, because it's here's Giannis, and then what you're sending back is just Austin Reeves and a second round pick, and it's that just doesn't make sense. But with Durant going to Houston and just staying over there, I think the super team era has really died. I mean, it's really hasn't worked out. And look at the recent title champions. A lot of these teams, yes, Boston had to go out and make some moves, but a lot of those guys are homegrown. Thunder's very homegrown. And they're probably going to win a couple more with how young their guys are. The model going forward is, and Sam Presti, a clip came up of this, is if you go for everything in the short term, you really affect your long term. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of organizations maybe playing it more slow, aka kind of what maybe the Spurs just did by not trading for Durant, going, hey, we have, 2 to 3 very good young guys, probably even more if they get Harper in this draft and they don't trade that pick. Let's just wait this out. The West is filled with every giant in the world. Why don't we just go, hey, our really time period of a title is probably 3 years down the road. Let's just gain experience and let's just let our young guys get better every single season. So I think that's going to be the more of the model going forward. And I think that's fantastic for the NBA. Detroit's probably going to go down that same road. It's the best, man. I love nothing more than watching a team on the rise. That's my favorite thing to watch.
So let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder then, because I have heard the conversation that this team might be here for a few more years in a row. This team has all the pieces in place, and I agree. And you're right. Listen, they are homegrown. They've got it. I said earlier in the show, after they won the Stanley Cup, the Florida Panthers are the team that your favorite team should strive to be like. The Florida Panthers grew their guys. They drafted well. They grew guys in the culture. They built their culture, and they said, if you don't want a part of this, that's fine. Just get the hell out. They went and they got guys like Matthew Tkachuk out of Calgary, who fits that perfect. Brad Marchand out of Boston, who fits it perfect. But they also grew a bunch of guys within the program to kind of play that role. Kind of feels like Oklahoma City did that same thing. And they know who their culture is. Everybody's been kind of dunking on them the last couple of days that after the Game 7 victory, they just kind of walked over, did the handshake line with the Pacers, went to the locker room. They brought 400 beers in there, and they left 350 of them unopened and blah, 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 blah. And everybody's been dunking on them. And my response was, that's who they are. That's their team. Yeah. That's their culture. It doesn't change just because they have the Larry O'Brien. And that tells me that culture is so ingrained and enshrined, it'll get run back next year. Do you think that there are 3, 4, 5 more years of the Oklahoma City Thunder being finals participants?
Absolutely. I think they will be the team to beat in the West for probably the next 5 years. Even if, let's say, they don't make it there, let's say, injuries happen or whatever, I still think the following season it will be, well, you got to get through the Oklahoma City Thunder. You got to get through them. If you can't beat them, you're not going to make it. And to your point on, people are like, this is the most boring championship team of all time, just in terms of celebration and everything. That's what Sam Presti wants. Look at the trades that they made this past offseason. Alex Caruso, very quiet guy, very hard, just hard nosed, does the dirty work, doesn't give the media a lot. Isaiah Hartenstein, very similar. And then you look at their star players. SGA, love the guy, amazing player, very boring interview. Jalen Williams, love the guy, fantastic, played great in the finals after having kind of a more disappointing start to the playoffs. Very boring interview. Lou Dort, very boring. Like, these guys, they don't give you everything you want in a press conference and in a one-on-one situation. They're just not going to. You got to get become best friends with them, and maybe you get something. Sam Presti wants quiet. We do our job. We want to win. We go home. We don't do controversy. We don't do talking to the media. If you have a problem, everything's kept in-house. We buy into the system, the culture that we've set. That's what we're into. And it's fun to watch. It's not exciting for press clippings and social media because these guys just aren't going to give it to you. But it works, man. It works for the Spurs for a long time. It's probably going to work for the Thunder for a very long time.
First off, I heard somebody say this, and I thought you would appreciate it. Somebody yesterday on the internet called Alex Caruso the white TJ McConnell. And
It's very funny.
I have not laughed at something that hard in a very, very long time. No, I think you're exactly right. And again, like, this is part of the reason that I have said I do think this Thunder is around for a long time. And I really think the Pacers can be. If they can get through next year, and I'm not even saying that they have to be like a championship contender. If they can keep the core of this team together next year and get Tyrese back, and if he's able to come back from this surgery and be the same player, Indiana's kind of the same thing. What I loved about these finals, and I want to get to the ratings here in just a second. What I loved about these finals is two things. Number one, they absolutely showed that if given the opportunity and they do it intelligently, small market teams can succeed. Even it's going to be against the odds. Let's be real clear. Milwaukee had Giannis. They made it to and won an NBA Finals, and they have fallen off a cliff ever since then, even with one of the best two players on planet Earth. It can be done, but you have to be smart about it. You have to execute it well, and you got to be financially responsible about it. But small market teams can do it. And number two, it is less about small market teams going out there and finding a way to just sign the best players as free agents. It is more about small market teams, more than the Lakers, more than the Knicks. They've got to build a culture. They have to stick to the guns, and they have to say, if you're not part of what we do here, that's okay. We will find guys who are. The Florida Panthers did that in hockey. The Kansas City Chiefs have done it in the NFL, and now the Thunder and the Pacers have both done it in the NBA. The Thunder will be able to keep it together because they're fully healthy and ready to roll. Pacers, if they can survive not having Tyrese for a year, are in the same boat. But that was my favorite part about these finals.
I also just love that Adam Silver, all credit to him, but this is now, 7 straight years of a different team winning the title?
Yep.
I love that part because that makes it, we're in the betting world too, Robin. That makes looking at next year that much more fun because you're going – the odds of him repeating in this era is so slim. Like, the people, kind of crapped on the second apron and the third apron. It's working. Let's be honest, it's more of a hard cap than aprons, and it's working, man. It's making it a more balanced NBA, and this is fun. You want an underdog story. You want these small market teams to be in the mix. I know David Stern's probably sitting there going, dude, do you need Lakers, Celtics 7 years in a row? Well, that's just not going to happen in this era. And it's great to see. And I always complained about the NBA. My biggest complaint is what I get jealous of in the NHL. I'll throw that in there, and I'll throw in the MLB in there as well, is I call the prospect excitement. When you see a guy that's coming up and PCA for the Cubs, for example. I remember when he got called up and there was exciting stuff, and then now you see him progressing to an MVP level that he is now. And you're like, this is awesome. This is what we've been waiting for. You don't really get that in the NBA. They're kind of just thrown into the fire right away, and if they don't really play well after the rookie season, they kind of get trashed on until they play really well. AKA Cade Cunningham was trashed like that. It's okay, this guy's actually a pretty good player. Can you just give him a little bit of time? I feel like maybe in this new era we're getting more of that, if that makes sense. Where previously it was kind of pumped and then dumped, and then if you're good, you get traded, and you want to join a super team. And if you're not good, you just thrown in the mix. You're gone forever until maybe you're a good bench player on a really good championship team. And that's where I think we're seeing a change in momentum, and it's fun and it's exciting, and it leaves you guessing. And I think it's great to leave you guessing. And there is going to be another dynasty. Another dynasty is going to come. Is it Oklahoma City Thunder? Maybe. But we also said that about Boston. We also said that about Denver. So we shall see.
I don't disagree. He is the executive producer of BetMGM tonight on the BetMGM network, which I'll be on tonight. I think I'm on.
Absolutely.
Tonight?
No, you are on tonight. We're talking MLB. We're talking college football with you. We're getting after it with you tonight.
8:20 p.m. I'll also be there on Friday, filling in alongside Ryan Horvath. Mario, you are the best. I appreciate you, big dog, and we'll see you real soon, right, pal?
Well, seriously, this is my favorite and the best radio show to ever come on, to ever see, to ever listen to, and to watch on YouTube, to listen to on the air. It's phenomenal. I love it every single time. And John Jones, I hate you. You should have fought Tom Aspinall, and you're soft. But don't confront me, please.
No, you're absolutely right. He's soft.
Soft.
There it is. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Well done, young man. It's almost like I taught you well.
It's almost like I listen to you all the time.
Well, it's because I'm on the radio. You don't really have a choice. You're the producer. You have to.
Oh my gosh,
brother! Appreciate you. Love you. Thank you for doing it. I'll see you
Love.
here in a few hours.
Yeah, I love it, bro. I'll see you tonight. I'll send you everything soon.
Oh, you do have to come back though. That's a reality.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well.
Okay. All right, buddy. See you tonight.
Are you gonna be in Destin next week?
No. Are you going to Destin next week?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
No, but
there in a week.
If I tell Mama Brown you're in Destin, she may very well come over to come see your ass. She loves some Mario.
Oh, I was having a blast with her out the way.
No, I know. She has told me. No, I don't know if she'll be over there, but if she ends up that way, I'll let you. Or how long are you going down there for?
So I get there Friday. So like about a week and a couple days.
Okay.
I think I leave Monday. I gotta check my flight.
I'll see if she's gonna be over that way. If she is, I'll let you know.
All right, sounds good, brother.
All right, buddy. Love you. See ya.
Love you too. See ya.
The hating ass one. What a dude. All right, guys. We'll be right back. The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. You know, we hadn't gotten to it yet, but it feels like this feels like a wonderful time to do so. John Jones. Now, I do want to be real clear about this. If you haven't heard the story, John Jones, at one point considered the prodigy of mixed martial arts. He was the poster boy for UFC there for a little while, probably the most well-known fighter all time. So not best, but most well-known.
Well, there are a couple early on that were. But
yeah, well, I'm talking as UFC became a global entity.
For sure. He's the one guy that will make me pay money to see him lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There has been a teasing of a fight with
Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, with Tom Aspinall for a very long time. And we were finally lined up to get that fight. We were finally lined up to have those two get together in the octagon, give us a fight that we have been waiting for a long time as UFC fans, as MMA fans. And we end up not getting that fight because it was announced earlier this week or over the weekend by Dana White that John Jones was going to be retiring and stepping away from the UFC. I'm going to say one thing. If after Aspinall moves on, if this cat comes back out of retirement, he is going to go right to the top of the list of most hated athletes.
Here's the thing.
Straight to the top.
I don't think he will because he's in real trouble this time for a vehicle incident.
Yep.
And I don't know if he gets past this one. I think maybe he ends up getting in real trouble for once. But the fact that he retired and then it came out that day that there was a warrant out and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
He was ducking him for sure. The real question for me is, why does Dana White defend this guy so much? Maybe it's his best friend. You defend your best friend sometimes. You shouldn't, but you do because that's your boy and that's what you do. But I don't understand him defending him as much as he has, saying, oh, he didn't duck the fight, that they already had a deal, and then he decided to retire.
I know the answer. And since yesterday, around this time, I went on a full rant that LeBron James is neither wrong nor a hypocrite, and the reason why is you, America, allow me to do a last-minute heel turn again. Lonzo, the reason all that happened is you. You're the reason.
Okay.
It's your fault.
That's because I pay.
Because you pay money to see him fight.
But the one thing that you said that's the most wrong today is taking a heel turn because you've been a heel all day.
It's not my fault. Blame the guy who I get behind on Haywood
Anime
every
guy.
morning.
Blame anime
Blame
guy.
anime guy who I get behind every morning doing legitimately 19 miles an hour in a 30. Blame that guy. That guy ticked me off, and it's been all downhill ever since.
Are you surprised he retired? I'm not, because I do believe he was ducking him. There's been a couple fights he has barely won, and I think his time was coming. Someone was going to get him. Finally, someone was going to get him. And, the troubles outside of the octagon are also getting him too. And I think the perception is reality. And I think unless you are the biggest John Jones stan, first time I ever used that for anything, probably will never use that again, you think he ducked it.
I absolutely think he ducked it. I absolutely think he ducked that fight. I absolutely think that he chickened out of that fight. Now, again, as we have pointed out, this fight is a fight that we have wanted for how long?
At least a year.
At least a year.
And it may be more than that, but at least a year.
This is a fight that if we were talking about John Jones circa 2015, is probably one of the biggest fights, maybe the biggest fight of all time. If it was either, obviously they're not in their prime at the same time, but if it was like closer to the rise of Aspinall and the decline of John Jones, we'd be more excited about it.
If you believe there is a decline.
If you believe there is a decline. At the end of the day, Father Time is the one opponent that is undefeated. John Jones is still a top-notch fighter, but he's not what he was when he was the prodigy, when he was the future a number of years ago. Look, I think it's real simple. The reason John Jones was defended for as long as he was defended by Dana, by TKO, by UFC is very simply because no matter what he did, we kept paying money to watch the guy fight. That's it. That's the reason. There is nothing more to it. It didn't matter if the dude was out there crashing cars, doing cocaine, or slapping old ladies. We tuned in to watch him. Maybe you tuned in to watch him lose specifically and explicitly. It doesn't matter. Much like I said earlier.
Multiple times, and I feel like I was robbed.
100%. And no matter how many times you felt like you
Not
were
robbed
robbed.
money-wise, robbed because I didn't get to see the loss.
And by John Jones, maybe literally. The reality is no matter how many times you felt robbed, you still paid for the next fight. That's it. That's the end of that discussion. Didn't matter what he did. Didn't matter how he did it. You paid for the fight. It's exactly what I said earlier when I was talking about Stephen A. Smith and the rise of hot take artists in sports talk media. You all send tweets because you think you're dunking on Stephen A. Smith. You all send tweets because you think that he's going to see one of them and he's going to go, by golly gee willikers, Bulls for Life 1971 said my take's bad. Maybe I should reevaluate how I broadcast. Nah, quite the opposite. When they hand in those reports at the end of the month, ESPN just sees the number of reactions he got. They don't see that 92% of them were reactions that just said, hey, Stephen A. Smith, go yourself. They just reacted, and that's the number. The same is true with John Jones historically. They did not look and see that X amount of people were watching these fights because they wanted to see John Jones' head kicked off his shoulders and sent into low Earth orbit. All they see is that John Jones fights, we make $1 billion. So we're going to put him out there as many times as we can. And if he keeps doing dumb stuff away from the octagon, and it makes more people tune in to watch him get his head kicked off his shoulders, then so be it. We still get that money. If you are giving them $89.99 for a card, it doesn't matter if you're giving it to them because you want to watch a dude lose or win or whatever. It just matters that they got your $89.99. Part of the reason that I, during the Conor McGregor era, was not buying UFC fights was because I believed at the time, and I still do, that UFC, MMA, was following the exact same path that killed boxing. When it got to the point that it was more about the WWE-style drama than it was the fights, and when it got to the point that it was more about the show than the competition, and when it got to the point that you were allowing fighters in your organization to pick and choose who they wanted to fight and when they wanted to fight them, instead of saying, here's our rankings, these rankings are based on results, and because of these rankings, here is your next fight. If you win it, you move on, and if you lose it, you go to the back of the line. When we started letting guys have the power to pick their fights more than the organization said, this is who you fight next, it's following the same path that boxing followed. And I love boxing.
Which is more likely, John Jones ends up back in an MMA ring, maybe not necessarily UFC, or he goes to WWE or AEW?
More likely is he goes to jail.
Well, there's that. I mean, yeah.
Because when you are the prodigy, when you are the chosen one, when you are him, you can get away with a lot more. When you are no longer that guy, you don't have the leeway to do dumb stuff. And most guys, when they retire, they stop doing the dumb stuff. I don't know that John Jones has that in him. I think he's just an idiot. And
he's basically been retired. So, and you're right.
Yes, he has been retired. Yet, He has also had a fight with Tom Aspinall on the docket for, again, a year and a half, 2 years maybe now. One, that we took it seriously. Two, that it was like, oh, maybe this fight could happen down the line. And John Jones has won some fights in the last couple of years. So, I've said before and I'll say again, I think there are a lot of spots where I am willing to blame dumb athletes getting in trouble on society as a whole and how it's set up, right? You'll notice that it is now Tuesday. How many times have I brought up Shedeur Sanders speeding at 100 miles an hour? 0. You know why? Because I'm not shocked or surprised. Do I think it's dumb? Yes. Do I think it is maybe a bit indicative of his personality? Yes.
And if he went to the University of Georgia, it wouldn't be a story at all.
Well, it would be a story, but it would be more about Georgia than it would be Shedeur Sanders. The reason I haven't brought it up is I am unsurprised that a kid surrounded by yes men who have told him how incredible he is after all these years goes out and acts like he's entitled, like he's above the rules, is unsurprising to me. That's just part of the system we've set up where we glorify and celebrate athletes. And John Jones was the most glorified and celebrated athlete maybe in the history of mixed martial arts. Probably. I would almost say definitely in the history of MMA. So him acting like a fool doesn't surprise me. The difference is once you get into a certain level of trouble, I expect you to move on. I can't have Shedeur Sanders do this again. I can't have him get in any more trouble. But I'm also, again, not shocked that it happened. So, I don't know. I think he's soft for ducking the fight. At the same time, I'm unsurprised that he ducked the fight, right? Like, there was no reason for him not to. Back after this to wrap it up, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
And by the way, from earlier, we would never disrespect friend of the show, Dan Severn. Correct. Because he would headbutt us, and we don't want that.
Correct. Ronnie with a big dong.
All right, so I might survive a headbutt. Rob, there's no way. I mean, split wide open. I mean, just like it would be bad. Just
That's not true. My
looking at circumference and all that. You know,
my uncle Mike, has a steel plate in his head that he got from a car accident when he was a teenager, and that man grew up headbutting me and my little brother, which probably explains a lot. Grew up headbutting me and my little brother, and there was one time I specifically remember when my mother went off on him for doing it. And we were like, yo, he's been doing this for years. Like, why is it a problem now? And that was when we learned that, and we didn't know this, Uncle Mike had a steel plate in his head. And the Madre knew that, and we didn't.
So have you been headbutted by other people and you could tell a difference?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a Florida
Getting
thing.
headbutted by a steel plate feels like getting headbutted by a steel plate.
Hey, Rob, come here. Oh,
Correct.
How you doing today, buddy? Get up off the floor. Headbutted a lot with a football helmet on, but not, you know.
That's kind of the same thing, to be honest with you. Hey, today's my 5-year anniversary of being an ordained minister. Thanks, email.
Okay. I don't want to know in the church of. I have many. Don't tell me.
You'll appreciate it.
Let my imagination go.
You'll appreciate it. I'm ordained under the title of 2 religions. One of them you will not. One of them you won't appreciate. The other will. One of them is the Church of Dude. I am a Dudist priest. The other one is, and this is true and recognized as a religion in Florida, I am an ordained minister of the Jedi Order. I can marry people in the name of the Force in the state of Florida and South Carolina. It transferred. I am a Dudist priest, and I am officially a recognized Jedi. It's my favorite thing. The Rob Brown Show is on the Fan Upstate, as has been notated by Mr. Deep-voiced announcer guy there. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Wrapping up the radio broadcast today. I would like to go back here and respond to a couple of texts that we got earlier in the show. We were talking about the NBA. We were talking about the ratings. We were talking about the fact that the NBA postseason as a whole was up last year. However, the NBA finals were down this year. However, NBA Game 7 was dramatically up this year. And we were talking about what that all means. And my response was, well, it means a couple of things. The first thing that it means is that we friggin' love a Game 7 in the United States of America. We love drama. And there is nothing more dramatic than a basketball contest in which two teams are on the hardwood together. One of them is definitively going to be the champions this night, and one of them is definitively going to see their season end this night. We do it for just about every sporting championship finals. So, with that being said, I think that there are some interesting elements to this finals. I think that the fact that they are two small market basketball teams came into play because the drama isn't hyped up all year. Even if you don't follow the Lakers, the Knicks, the Celtics, the Mavericks, whatever, the Golden State Warriors, the Chicago Bulls, even if you don't follow those teams, because throughout the course of the year, the NBA leans so heavily on those teams, when it gets to the postseason, you are inherently familiar with those teams in ways that you may not be familiar with, say, the Indiana Pacers, in ways that you may not be familiar with, say, the Oklahoma City Thunder. You were not constantly hit in the head with coverage of those two teams. Therefore, when you got to the playoffs, those teams were new to you. It's that way with, say, movies. If you are not going to the movies very often, you are aware of the movies for which there are ginormous advertising campaigns. You are aware of the Marvel movies. You are aware of the DC movies that are upcoming. You are aware of. You may not be aware of a movie, and this happens to me every year, that ends up, say, being nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. Because those artsy-fartsy movies that are usually nominated for a Best Picture, they aren't really advertised the way that the big budget films are, because they don't have the big budgets of the big films. So while it is rare or
they don't want to waste their money on movies that people aren't going to go see.
I mean, maybe so. I think more often than not, for many of them, it's a budget restriction. But I also agree that some of these movie studios may look and go, you know, this film probably doesn't have mainstream appeal the way that Iron Man 9 does.
Good business sense. Yes.
So when those movies roll around and we get the Best Picture at the end of the year, and we got a bunch of critics who have put together a vote for what's the best movie that came out, you may, like me, when those nominations drop, go, haven't seen it. I've seen 12 movies in theaters in the last year. None of them are up for Best Picture. Correct. Because all of them were movies that I heard about. They were in my sphere. And even if I wasn't interested in them, I couldn't help but hear about them. I am not interested in, say, 28 Years Later, the new 28 Days Later sequel.
Yeah, but you're not a horror guy, so.
Correct. Yeah. I'm not interested in it. However, I also recognize that it is being postured as the big summer horror blockbuster. And therefore, I can't tune on the television without every now and then seeing an advertisement for it. So while I may not have any interest in it because it is not my genre of choice, like, say, the Pacers aren't my basketball team of choice, it's placed in front of me so often that, honestly, even though I don't want to see it, I'm kind of interested in what the story is. I'm kind of interested in seeing what they do with it, even though I'll never watch it. I'm interested in a good zombie story.
Yeah, and the fact that I don't think there's been a zombie movie where it's been that length of time and they ain't fixed it.
Right. But I'm not, again, it's not my team. It's not my genre. But I'm still interested in what happens in it, even if I may not go out of my way to see it. When you spend the entire year, if you are the NBA, pumping up the Boston Celtics, when you spend the entire year, like the NBA did, pumping up the LA Lakers, when you spend the entire year, like you did, pumping up the Golden State Warriors, when you spend the entire year putting those teams on television to advertise them, and then the nominations come around, and the nominations for Best Picture, a.k.a. Best Film, come around, and people look and they go, the Pacers and the Thunder are the artsy-fartsy movies of the NBA because they're very specialized, they're very niche, they're very classically put together as a team. Then you maybe would look and go, okay, they might be good. Hell, they might be great, but I don't know anything about them. And while they might be, I can't tell you how many artsy-fartsy movies win Best Picture, and I go, okay, that's on my radar now, but my interest isn't peaked enough to, watch them. I'll just let everybody tell me what they're about, and I'm good with that. It's kind of that way with these NBA teams. When you spend an entire season hyping and advertising the Marvel movies that are the Lakers, the Celtics, the Knicks, then everybody's familiar with them. Everybody knows what's going on. Hell, you might be interested in watching them. But then we get to the awards ceremony at the end of the year, the postseason, the NBA Finals, and it's the artsy-fartsy movies that are being talked about on TV, and people go, I don't know what those are. I've never heard about them. They weren't advertised in my circle, and therefore, now that they've been out this long, I'm not interested in trying to learn about them now. I'm perfectly happy to resume being checked out of all of this. That's what happened here. They spent a year telling you about the Celtics and the Warriors and the Lakers and the Mavericks and all these other big-time teams, Marvel, DC, Avengers, Superman, Fantastic Four. And then it became awards ceremony time. And the Pacers and the Thunder got nominated. And America went, I don't really know anything about these teams other than what they did in the postseason. And it's too late for me to feel like I'm going to emotionally invest now. This is why I have been frustrated with the way that the NBA treats small market teams for the past couple of years. As much as it bothers me because I'm a fan of one, it also bothers me because of the fact that the NBA hurts itself, and it's like they're too dumb to recognize they're doing it. They hurt themselves by not creating a world in which there is interest in being involved when it's postseason time. And the result of that, the obvious result of that, is the fact that now the ratings in the finals are down. And what does that end up doing? The NBA is going to look at those finals. The NBA is going to look at the results in the ratings. And what are they going to say? They're going to say, oh, see, America doesn't care about small markets. America's not going to watch small markets. They're not going to get involved in small markets. So now they're going to double down on not investing in it. All they're going to do next year is they're going to go, well, we had clearly the two best teams last year, but they're small market and nobody cared. Nobody watched. Look at the ratings. The ratings were down. So you know what we need to do? We need to invest more heavily in the big market teams because that's who everybody wants to watch. It's like, guys, you're the reason for that. You're the reason that nobody watched. It's not that they don't want to watch. It's that they didn't watch because you never put those teams on the docket. You never put those teams into the feedback loop. You never put those teams into a spot where anybody felt like they had any emotional attachment or investment in those teams. So when those teams were playing for a title, we were never checked in to check out. And it's just a vicious circle of continuation that prevents people like me from being able to enjoy our team succeeding. And that's really frustrating.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Time to see what the X is going on. I will tell Rob what is Xing. He will tell all of you why it's Xing. I already know.
I'll try my best.
I already know. He's going to do a great job because it's been that kind of day. The first thing that's Xing is Kristaps Porzingis.
Really? Is he on the trade block? Did he get traded?
All right, people think he's going to be. That's the whole reason why he is trending right now is because people think he'll get traded.
I mean, I get it.
Because who's been traded more than Kristaps Porzingis?
That's also true.
I mean,
I get it, and I get it because if Jason Tatum is genuinely unavailable for next season, if Jason Tatum, if Jason Tatum is genuinely unavailable for next season, the Celtics are in trouble because I think they could probably figure it out without Jaylen Brown. I think they could probably figure it out without Kristaps Porzingis. They can't do it without Jason Tatum. And so if Jason Tatum is going to be down and out for next year, as with a torn Achilles, he might very well be, then to me, it would make sense that they say, well, Porzingis is eating up a bunch of salary. We could use the injured player exemption to get another dude in here on a discount price. And if that is the case, and if we can do that, and we could utilize Porzingis' money, what's more important? Is it more important to find a replacement for Jason Tatum for a year to stay consistent? Or is it more important to have Kristaps Porzingis on the team? And the answer is to find a Jason Tatum replacement.
all right, the next thing that's Xing is Tom Holland.
Tom Holland Xing because, well, I'm going to assume it is connected to something that Lonzo and I talked about on the stream off the air, which is the fact that earlier this week it was announced that the Punisher will be in the new Spider-Man movie, which doesn't come out till like December of next year, so we got some time. But I'm assuming that Tom Holland totally gave away the secret.
Actually, this is something that's probably going to make you feel old.
Oh, good.
But, you know, I might as well pile on. 10 years ago today, Tom Holland announced that he would be the next Spider-Man. And the sad part is he hasn't aged. I'm sure if you look in the mirror,
It's the exact
you
same.
have.
I was doing yesterday. I was clipping up some of the videos from the show to build some social media awareness out there. You know, try to get the brand out. And I in the Bro Cave, I have the computer hooked up to a big TV monitor. That's how I do my video editing, so I can see, you know, HD. So I'm in there and I'm doing the video editing, and the wife comes in, and as I'm editing, she goes, "Man, you got a couple of like really gray streaks in your beard." And I looked at the video, and to be presented with the really gray streaks in your beard in a 47-inch TV that is HDMI, HD, 1080p, all the good TV things to look up and to be able to see not an individual gray, but like full stripes, like racing stripes of gray suddenly showing up. That plus this is a gut check. I also saw a video. I tried to get it today, but I couldn't get the audio to work. I may play it tomorrow. But they went and they asked players on the two NHL Stanley Cup teams, like younger players, to mark their births with a milestone. And one guy, I'm just going to give you one, but one guy was like, I was born 3 months before the Nintendo Wii made its debut.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I looked at this video on my phone, and I said out loud in a house that I was the only one in to this young player, you.
You know, that's a good segue for the next thing that's Xing. F-bomb is Xing.
I actually do know why this one is Xing. It is because the President of the United States of America, while discussing an alleged ceasefire that he says exists, but nobody else says exists, was asked by the media.
Everywhere, dude. Okay. Anyway.
No. He said the ceasefire exists. Iran came out and said there's no ceasefire. We've never even gotten a proposal.
Okay.
There's a lot of drama attached.
Well,
to
there's
it.
a lot of there's deadlines and everything. I'm seeing it all over the place. But anyhow, I didn't bring this up to either side. I thought you would appreciate it since you love that word.
When leaving the White House today, he was asked by a reporter to comment on the ceasefire that's a ceasefire but also isn't a ceasefire but is a ceasefire, was asked to comment on it, and he said, these two countries have been fighting each other for so long that neither one of them knows what the is going on. And he just straight up said that in a microphone on the White House garden. You know what? He's not wrong. Like, he's not wrong. So there's that. He's not wrong. Could we not all missile each other to death, please? This is not me taking a stance on the whole thing. I'm just saying, can we not missile each other to death? That would be nice.
All right, I'm not cutting you off for that, but we're out of time.
Yeah, he's not cutting me off for that. You're out of time. We are out of time. We got to go. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, it's your own fault. Come back tomorrow. Maybe you'll like it more. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. See you back here tomorrow on The Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate later. Trump announcing ceasefire like Michael Scott declares bankruptcy. That's a good one. Oh, I just got my vehicle tax bill that I have to pay. Damn it.
I'm wondering if
F-bomb. I'm just going to start saying F-bomb.
I'm wondering if yours is as high as mine is.
Probably because it's a new car.
Yeah.
For both of my vehiculars, it is a total of just shy of $500.
Yeah, mine's
for the
over,
year.
Mine's still over that.
Yeah, but you got one of them go-fast cars.
Smart cars.
Yeah, you got all the...
They charge more.
But don't you get all those tax credits and everything?
Yeah, that's what they say. Did get new seat covers, though.
Well, that's why your tax value is so hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to adjust to them because they're cloth, but they're Majin Vegetas. And
are your seats leather?
No.
Oh, okay.
But these are cloth. The seats are partially cloth and partially leather.
Like vinyl?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Trust me, I got high mileage. I've had that thing for 5 years. I'm like 150,000. I mean, don't really matter. It'll be paid off this year, though. Time to get me another one.
Time to get another one?
She'll never agree to it, but and it would be a mistake on my part because I'm old.
No, you need a faster car.
If anybody wants to donate, a Lamborghini or a Maserati or something like that. Now it's got to have a little bit more. I don't know if Lamborghinis have that much room. I've never been close to one. Not even at a car show, I don't think. So I don't know how much room they have in them.
I just cleaned out like 400 emails from my personal inbox during the show, and I feel like that's the biggest thing I'll accomplish today.
It was a good show. I don't know why.
It wasn't. Yesterday was a good show. Today was just a show.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it was a bad show.
Yesterday was a good show.
If it was a bad show, I'd let you know. Man, that show. Actually, I wouldn't because I'm just too positive.
No, you wouldn't.
I'm just way too positive.
Because we've had plenty of bad shows that I know were bad shows, and you haven't said anything about them. You get mad at me for saying they're a bad show.
All right, here's the thing. Just because you had a bad show doesn't mean I did. So, I mean, there is that.
Yeah, but if I have a bad show, it's a bad show.
Well, true.
I could have a bad show. You could have the best show of your career, and I would still go, that show sucked, and it's my fault.
I hope I haven't reached the best show of my career yet, but I have been in radio nearly 30 years, so it probably already happened.
Okie dokie, Smokey, as my mother used to say.
Wow. Where did that come from?
Appreciate you guys. You're all amazing. See you tomorrow. Bye.